This is JT Cestkowski with Status Coup, reporting in partnership with the Midas Touch Network. We are live here inside of Cat Abughazaleh's watch party here in Chicago, the Andersonville neighborhood, where tonight represents a real test of a few things within the Democratic primary system. One would be how progressive of a candidate are Democratic voters looking to put into a position of power, in this case a seat in the U.S. Congress, as they seek, as the base seeks, leaders who will actually fight for what they want. The second thing is outside spending. How much impact is it actually going to have on races like this? Because we have seen AIPAC and other special interest groups back up dump trucks of cash to this race. I do want to note that we're seeing just some initial returns coming in here. At first, when polls closed, earlier in the day, there was a strategy group, M3 strategy group, that released their own poll of people who voted early, which found that Cat Abughazale, who is very much the progressive candidate in this race, among the three main candidates, the three highest polling candidates, she is the furthest to the left of those three candidates. She was actually polling in the lead in that poll among early voters. At least according to returns that I'm looking at from the New York Times right now, it is actually Daniel Biss, and he is kind of the three, kind of the, I guess we'll say the center of the three candidates. There is also Laura Fine, who is more on the right, or a conservative, more towards the conservative end of the Democratic Party. Keep in mind, we're in a safe blue district out here, so using terms like progressive, conservative are all relative to where I'm standing right now. But at least as of right now, Daniel Biss, who is the mayor of Evanston, is the one with the lead. And Daniel Biss had really kind of put himself at the center of this race, as I said, the center of the three highest polling candidates. And there are 16 candidates in this race for the Democratic primary. But Daniel Biss had really positioned himself kind of in the center. He had always been just ever so slightly to the right of Cat Abughazale on so many issues. Cat Abughazale, when she first announced her candidacy, she was kind of this represented generational change for this district. JT Cestkowski, who has represented this district for a very long time, retired, was not seeking to run again for this seat. This is the Illinois 9th Congressional District. And Kat's race immediately, her candidacy immediately got a lot of high-profile attention. Kat, of course, herself was a journalist and a researcher, as she says in many of the videos that she has put out online as part of her campaign, because a big part of her campaign has been carried out online, though there has also been a real emphasis on the district itself. Of course, her campaign office served as a mutual aid hub also during the campaign, so she also did put that on-the-ground emphasis in her campaigning, but was really seen as a digital-first candidate. She's 26. She represents this new generation of leadership that is trying to assert itself within the Democratic Party. And Daniel Biss had positioned himself kind of just to her right on just about every issue, while still trying to hold that progressive moniker. And Daniel Biss, he has the endorsement of the state AFL-CIO. He also has the endorsement of JT Cestkowski. Cat Abughazale has gotten her own endorsements along the way here, of course, from including groups like a prominent nurses union here in the area, also from some progressive members of Congress, most notably Ilhan Omar up in Minneapolis, but crucially some of the I guess you'll say the banner members of the progressive constituency in Congress, like Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, did not endorse in this race, and we'll see what, if any, impact that might have had on the final results here. If it is a close race, could that have, potentially been a tipping point? Of course, there will be many things that come to play here in the weeks ahead as we unpack the meanings from tonight's race. I am just pulling up, yes, the at least according to the New York Times so far, Daniel Biss is in the lead so far with 70% of the votes in. He has a 6-point lead over Abughazaleh. So he's at 30%. Cat Abughazale is at 24%. And then Laura Fine, who was the candidate who received AIPAC's support in this race, is in third at 21%. And because this is a safe blue district, whoever wins out here is likely to, of course, go on and actually be the representative for this district after the general election as part of the midterms this coming November. So 70% is a lot of the votes that come in, but it is not everything. And as of right now, the campaign is actually ushering more people here into this space behind me. So I'm going to go out and interview some of those folks here in just a minute about how they're feeling, about some of the impacts of this race, about what they feel the message from tonight is going to be. Before I do that, I want to take a beat here to issue a few calls. First of all, got to pay the bills. It is not cheap for us to go on the ground. This is a little bit more doable because I just come from my home in Wisconsin, but we are known here at Status Coup for doing on-the-ground reporting, extended on-the-ground reporting, because we were here in Chicago this past fall for 2 months continuously on the ground during Operation Midway Blitz, the immigration crackdown in this city. We were live on the ground for about 2 months in Minneapolis during the immigration crackdowns there. We've been in many more cities in just the last year besides. And then for years before that, Status Coup has really set itself apart by doing the kind of on-the-ground accountability journalism that so many different outlets in this country should be doing. We are doing that work at a great cost to us. We're talking like $15,000 a month that it costs us to do these on-the-ground reporting trips. Please, if you can, go to statuscoup.com/join for as low as $5 a month. You go to help support our on-the-ground reporting efforts, keep us on the ground, send us back out. I was actually just planning another on-the-ground trip here for the coming days. So we would need your support to make that happen. We're grateful for everyone who is subscribed and does support real independent journalism in this country. You see this area here behind me now filling up. But if you want to be a part of that movement, please get subscribed. And if you just want to see what that reporting trip is that I have coming up, please get subscribed to ourselves here at Status Coup and to our partners at the Midas Touch Network. We are very appreciative of their efforts. Now, you're going to have to excuse me for just a moment while I go into this crowd and find someone for us to interview. Pardon me, folks. I'm a reporter. Would you mind if I did an interview with you about, what the message from this election is going to be? Sure. Yeah.
Try to keep it brief.
Yeah, we can keep it brief. Cool. Yeah. What's your name?
I'm Weston.
Weston, JT. Nice to meet you. Can I have you come stand right over here with me, Weston? That's my camera right there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right, so let me just make a quick adjustment here to the camera. Tip it down a little bit.
All right. Say anything stupid.
You'll do fine. Let me just put this on you really quick, Weston.
Okay. Oh, boy.
All right, here, I'll just clip this right to your coat. So I am standing here with Weston. Weston, could I have you start just by spell that name for me, please?
Weston.
O-N. And what's your connection to the campaign?
I'm a volunteer. I've been spending many hours on the phone, knocking doors, poll greeting, doing whatever I can to help this campaign to get them to win.
What really attracted you to Kat's campaign? What made you want to spend that time and energy volunteering for her?
Yeah, well, to me, money in politics is the quintessential issue. It affects every other issue. I feel I can only trust a candidate who's beholden to the public, who takes public donations, no corporate campaign financing, no dark money, no super PACs, etc. So when I heard that Kat was running a campaign like that and she had some serious pull, Yeah, I was interested. I was a Bernie delegate in 2020 back in Colorado when I lived there. And that sort of was my kickoff into politics. But I got super pessimistic after that experience, and this sort of reinvigorated my hope and got me into it. So
you brought up your history with being a delegate for Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Do you see Kat as an inheritor of that legacy? There's been a lot of discussion about what comes next after Bernie.
Yeah, so I definitely think she's in that wing of the party. The progressives, the true progressives. That word I feel like is being co-opted even by some of those quote-unquote neoliberal establishment, liberal, whatever you want to call it, corporate Democrats of the party, right? But like I said, Kat's not taking that money, and that's the biggest difference between all these other candidates in the race. There's been millions of dollars from AIPAC, AI, crypto. They're all trying to influence the narrative here, trying to say Kat's an outsider. I like that. I want a political outsider. I moved from out of town, I grew up in a conservative household. Like, does that mean I shouldn't be allowed to run for office? And like, people would just write me off for those reasons? Like, I totally get where people are coming from, wanting someone quote unquote rooted in the district, but like, this seems like her time, so I'm for it.
Got it. So Weston, we've heard a lot made about cost of living in this election, in this election season right now, under this president who kind of came in under this promise of, I'm going to fix the economy. I don't know that that's really being felt on the ground for anybody right now. From your perspective, what are the, right now our country's going to war in Iran, while billions of our country's money is being funneled in that direction, and I mean, even American lives being lost now in the Middle East. What are you dealing with at home? What are the issues that are front and center for you that you would like to see a competent administration and government actually try to address for you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm a renter for one, so I mean, that's one thing I have in common with Kat as a candidate that I don't think is true for some others, at least, or some of the more contending candidates in the race. But I think there need to be restrictions on raising rent annually, like things like that, maybe a rent ceiling or something along those lines. I don't know if necessarily a member of Congress has like the greatest sway on that issue as much as a municipal person does. But I do think that there's so many other things we can do to cut costs for people. Medicare for all is a policy that she supports, something that Bernie supported, something that I support. Universal health care I very, very strongly support from my experiences with the medical system here in America. And to your point about Iran and everything surrounding that, I mean, AIPAC, obviously Israel is a huge reason why we're at war with Iran right now. And this is the candidate who's not taking money from the American-Israeli Political Action Committee. Obviously, I think that's a pretty relevant component to this race. And then also, when you look at the front runners of this race, she's the only of the top three who's willing to call Netanyahu a war criminal. The only candidate who's willing to call Gaza a genocide. She's half Palestinian. Like, there's so many things that I think this is relevant to. There's kind of a divorce going on in the Democratic Party with AIPAC, at least, and with Israeli influence over politics in general. And I think, that's like a really, really relevant component of this race, and was a relevant component of 2024, and why the Kamala Harris campaign lost. And there's plenty of polling data that reflects that too.
And there's going to be a lot made about the outcome of this race, just like there was about Kamala Harris's race, about the lessons to be learned. As of right now, Daniel Biss has a slight edge so far in the returns. If that holds, what do you feel like the message is from tonight?
I think there's still a lot to be said about how this race shook out. No matter what, I think it's going to be really close. And if we even show that it's close, it shows that there is a lot of disaffection in the party with this issue. And even Daniel Biss, to your point, has sort of shifted his own opinions on Israel to sort of meet the moment in a way. But what I don't really like about Biss as a politician, what I've seen from him, is that he seems to wait for the public opinion to form before forming that opinion himself. And I want someone with a stronger moral compass who will stand up when the moment is right, and not because it's politically advantageous, because it's the right thing to do.
Now, I'm at Cat Abughazaleh's watch party, so I'm going to get a lot of Cat Abughazale fans talking to me.
Yeah.
But if she gets sent to Congress, if these, as the more returns come in here, and we're at around 80% reporting is what I'm being told from our producers right now with Daniel Biss, up by about 6 points. But so if though in this remaining vote we get Cat Abughazale, who pulls ahead in the end and ekes out a narrow victory here, what are the issues that you want to see her fight for actually in Congress?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want her to care about the material conditions of people's lives. I want her to care about things like we already said, healthcare, the cost of living, and groceries. We need to stop sending weapons for bombs and blowing up children instead of that, putting children through school, here and abroad. We need to have someone who's going to fight to keep ICE out of our communities and do those sorts of things, and yeah, you spoke to the issue of the war in Iran too. I have really close friends who are members of the military, and I'm really concerned about those people and their well-being too, being stationed wherever they might be and all that kind of stuff too. So
my last question for you, Weston, is going to be about outside spending, because we've seen a lot of that in this race, specifically from AIPAC and some of the front groups that they've been using to influence this race. They seem to be backing Laura Fine, but their tactics that they've used here have included, lifting up another progressive candidate, seemingly maybe to try and drive a wedge between, Kat and, what might be her base.
The progressive vote.
Yeah, and Biss has certainly tried to, sometimes posture to the left a little bit. A little bit there as well. What's the lesson coming out of this race about that outside spending that you would want to see other Democrats take to heart?
We need ranked choice voting. It's the only way to really get this out of our races and make it so that there's no infighting between progressives. We can really form a block together. I wish we could have seen a coalition where Kat could have said, vote for me as one, but vote for Bushra or Mike Simmons as 2 and 3, and we could have all done the same for one another, and there wouldn't be any sort of infighting between our campaigns, which, I feel like that's been pretty minimal, and there's been a lot of respect shown between one another, and I have enormous amounts of respect for those people, and they're running clean campaigns, and I don't think it's good that AIPAC is backing up people without their own will, to try to prop up candidates like Bushra to sort of siphon off votes from Kat, so to speak. But, you have to know when we're sort of splitting that vote, and that's an important component, as being a Bernie delegate in 2020, I thought that was really relevant on Super Tuesday when Elizabeth Warren stayed in the race and peeled off a lot of votes that could have gone for Bernie, that could have helped us beat Joe Biden, and that's why we ended up backing a genocide in Gaza. So that was extremely consequential, and I think it cost us the 2024 election as a result. So I think that progressives need to understand, I'll say this outright, if Kat and Mike Simmons or Bushra were swapped in the polling 2 weeks ago, I probably would have voted for one of those candidates out of a strategic decision, literally. Because I mean, as much as I love this campaign and all the connections I've made and everything, you got to know when to make the right choices. And it's not to say that those people shouldn't have run. And that brings me back to the point about ranked choice voting. With that eliminates the problem completely. I can choose who I want as my number one and who I want number two, and et cetera, et cetera.
So sorry, my producer's talking to my ear here, Weston, but I want to end here because I promised that I wouldn't take up too much of your time. So just to draw things to a close, is there anything else that I should have asked you about that I haven't given you the chance to say that you'd like to?
Fuck ICE, fuck AIPAC, free Palestine.
Thanks so much, man. Let me steal that microphone back from you and I'll let you go. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. All right. I want to take and pause on something here, and that is that amount of outside spending in this race. It is millions of dollars that have been brought to bear. I've seen different numbers at different times. The most recent number that I had seen just from AIPAC and its front group spent on this race was $9 million. And I think my producer was in my ear saying it was $20 million, though I was talking over him at the same time. So Colin, if you've got a correction for me, jump in my ear and let me know. But Colin is telling me in my ear that it was $22 million spent in the primary. So there you go. I mean, this is the incredible amount of influence that is being brought to bear in this race, and new tactics were being used in this race as well. Because we didn't just see AIPAC, which is, for those who do not know, an interest lobby that lobbies on behalf of essentially Israel and its interests here in the United States, and ends up with quite a majority of Congress who end up becoming recipients of the money that it donates. But AIPAC's influence in this race, they use new tactics, which was to try and lift up a progressive candidate, one of those 16 candidates in this race, 15 besides Kat, whose watch party we are at right now, lift up another one of those progressive candidates and try to make that person seem like, you know, the true progressive in this race. And there were many true progressives, to be clear. Again, this is a safe blue district, but try to lift up this other candidate as a safe, as the true progressive who deserved, you know, the progressive or the base's vote here, to try and siphon votes away from Kat and from Daniel Biss, who was also trying to position himself at times as a progressive to siphon away some of Kat's votes. And where that, it seemed like what AIPAC was trying to do was then leave it in a position where the progressive vote was so fractured that then their preferred candidate, who was Laura Fine, would come away with the victory. But as of right now, Laura Fine is polling in third. So at least in that way, this tactic didn't work. But it's hard to know exactly what AIPAC's intentions were here. If, you know, if it was an issue of if they could not get, you know, if they could not get Laura Fine, would then Daniel Biss be their second choice so long as Cat Abughazale did not get it? We can't know the answer to that. That's my suspicion, but I don't have, you know, any sort of like real concrete evidence to back up that claim. So that is just going by, you know, the way that we've seen the tactic play out here on the ground, and something that we should likely see play out in other races around this country as more progressive challengers mount themselves against especially Democratic incumbents in the race ahead. There's been a lot made about, is this going to be the Democratic Party's Tea Party era, when we saw so many Republican incumbents get wiped out in the 2010 election and so many new further right candidates get empowered through that movement. There's been some talk, will this be the left's Tea Party moment in this election? And AIPAC spending, which tends to back more conservative Democrats in those races because the progressive wing tends to be more outspoken against military aid to Israel, could be very relevant in the races ahead. And how these tactics work or don't work on the ground could inform how perhaps your race, where you live, if you don't live in the Illinois 9th Congressional District, could play out. I'm going to try and get another interview here, but before I do, I should probably try and give at least one more update on vote totals. And again, the last that we had heard is that with 83.5% of the vote in, Biss is up with 30.3%, Kat has 24.6%, and then Laura Fine has 20.7%. So Cat Abughazale trailing by just under 6 points in this race as of right now. And Politico, yes, my boss Jordan again chiming in there to let me know that Politico reported today that AIPAC has spent $22 million in tonight's primaries using a variety of shell packs that conceal that it is AIPAC. And that's another new tactic that we have seen in this race, is the use of these shell groups, where AIPAC will set up some groups that have seemingly innocuous names, or at least names not tied to its brand, which has become more toxic within the Democratic Party's base. So they'll set up other front groups or give money to other groups that then is spent on AIPAC's behalf. And that's another tactic that we've seen used in this race as well. All right, I am going to try and find another interview here. And while I do, I'll just tip the camera up just ever so slightly, let you see the room a little bit more there. Pardon me.
How do you like this?
Yeah. Pardon me, folks. I'm a reporter. I'm interviewing people about what they think the takeaways from tonight are going to be. Would you mind if I interviewed any of you?
Sure.
Sure?
Yep.
What's your name?
Scott Blue.
Scott? Nice to meet you. I'm JT.
Nice to meet you, JT.
If you want to just come stand right over here by my camera. And then
Most people call me Blue.
Blue?
Yeah.
Blue, got it. All right. Well, I'm going to put this on you if you don't mind. Right. So then, looks like you fit perfectly in the frame. I nailed that. All
Try
right.
my best.
All right. First thing, if I could have you do is spell your name for me, please.
Scott, SCOTTBLUE, Blue, my last name.
All right, Blue. So, and he did tell me off mic that I should be calling him Blue and not Scott. So, Blue, first tell me what's your connection to the campaign? Why are you here at Cat's watch party?
Kat is one of my best friends, actually. We met around the time we both moved to Chicago. And I've been involved with on and off the campaign since its very inception. I was at the announcement party. I was at her first stump speech. I actually introduced her for her first stump speech. So I've been a diehard friend and supporter for Kat this entire time.
All right, you're the guy I want to talk to.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
absolutely.
for folks in our national audience who are just tuning in, we're live with Status Coup News and the Midas Touch Network right now.
I love Status Coup. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, man. All right, love it. So for our audience who might not be so tuned into the happenings in just the Illinois 9th District, over the course of this election, what are some of the hurdles that Kat has faced and how has she tried to overcome them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest hurdles that she faced was people not taking her seriously. I think that's for a myriad of reasons. She's young. She's a woman. She happens to be a journalist, but on the internet, so therefore she's not considered a journalist, right?
Yeah.
Pretty ridiculous. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles she's had to face. And then I think every step of the way, the establishment of the Democratic Party, I think, has been pushing to put their own establishment person in there. So she's been at a constant uphill battle. On top of the fact she's taking no corporate PAC money, all grassroots funding for the campaign. And then, of course, I think probably the biggest hurdle that she's had to deal with is her own huge beating heart, because it's that huge heart that put her in the front of ICE, that has put her in there to protect her community. It's the reason why she's been attacked and assaulted by ICE so many times. It's the reason why she's been there protecting our community who are being kidnapped by ICE. And it's the reason why she's being wrongfully indicted by the federal government.
Wrongfully indicted by the federal government. That's an issue we haven't even really talked about here yet on the live stream because there's been so much to talk about with that race. But Kat, we were live outside of the Broadview, Illinois ICE Detention Center for months this past fall. Cat Abughazale was also out there protesting, and as part of those protests ended up being charged by the Trump administration for allegedly attempting to obstruct the ICE agents out there at that facility, as were many, along with 5 other protesters. For a while, they were known as the Broadview Six. Is kind of how they were going down. What is the kind of leadership how would you characterize Kat's leadership, and what do you think other candidates should be taking away from that style of active leadership? And when I say active leadership, I'm making a direct reference to Broadview.
Yes.
Should more politicians be putting themselves, their bodies on the line the way Kat was this past fall?
Yes, absolutely. I would describe Kat's leadership style as servant leadership, right? She's a leader that leads through service. I think you can see that through the mutual aid resources that the campaign has been doing since its very inception. And then I think that also goes to the way she has lended her platform, her prominence towards protecting those that have been assaulted by and kidnapped with ICE. I absolutely think that every single politician that is sitting should be standing up and physically putting themselves in between ICE agents and their community. I mean, you have a certain level of protection, and even if you didn't, that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, that is the golden rule. You're supposed to take care of each other. We're supposed to be a community. And like any bully, enough of us stand up with one another, enough of us with enough prominence and power, they're not going to be able to harm all of us. So yes, I think that everyone in this race should have been doing more. I think that it's a shame that, a journalist born in Texas has done more to protect the people of this community than the mayor who's running against her. I think it's an absolute travesty. But I'm glad we have a 5-foot-tall, strong woman to defend us.
I want to note that Kat wasn't the only candidate for office who was charged as part of that group. There was also, I believe it was a Cook County Commissioner candidate.
Yes.
After that candidate dropped out, the charges against that candidate were dropped.
Yes.
But Kat continues to run. She continues to face charges. I'm just curious, Do you see the Trump administration, like them bringing charges against her? Are they afraid of progressives in this country, or of Kat specifically?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're terrified of us, and it's because the Trump administration, they have been using the populist / progressive playbook in order to gain prominence. But whereas progressives, we say that we need to come together to meet your material needs, right? Like, yes, the billionaires are taking advantage of you, the wealthy, the powerful are taking advantage of you, and the solutions, us coming together in defending ourselves and putting in policies that take care of us. The Republicans, they want to blame minorities, they want to blame women, trans people, the gay community. So they're absolutely afraid of a real populist, a real prominent progressive coming to power and showing that we can actually do something. We can talk about the hurts that the American people are feeling, and we can actually make it better.
I want to ask you about all of the candidates in this race and how that fracturing of the vote might impact things, because as we're talking right now, Daniel Biss has about a 5,000 vote lead over Kat. There's still votes to be counted, but also Bushra Amwala right now has about 5,000 votes, and she was also one of these left candidates at the left edge, and Kat was seen as this sort of left progressive in this race. Do you see the other candidates in these races as potential spoilers for not dropping out?
I will say I do think it's everyone's right to be in this race. I think that's exactly what Kat wanted when she came into this race. She wanted to be a real viable, competitive primary. But I will say, as progressive, if we're going to actually start taking the reins of power, we have to start coalescing with one another. We have to start building community, building unification with one another. I know that's something that Kat has been pushing and has not gotten such a strong reception back from the other progressives in the race. What I'll say is, had Kat been in the position as some of the other progressives in this race, she would have dropped out. And not only would she have dropped out, but some of the people that have been doing some dual endorsements would not have dual endorsed her. They would have been pushing her to drop out. And so I don't know if that speaks to a certain level of favoritism, but when it comes down to it, Kat is, in my opinion, the most progressive person in this race. She has the shot, and I do wish that we would have coalesced together, because, one progressive getting in there, the amount of good that we can do versus another 2014 Democrat that's going to do the same things that brought us into this exact same situation that we're in.
We haven't learned the biggest takeaways from this race yet. We won't know that until all the votes are counted and we know who won. Because I think, the takeaways will be very different if it's Kat that wins or if it's Daniel Biss that wins. But at least from what you've seen in this race so far, what are the lessons that other Democrats, maybe even progressive challengers, because we're hearing a lot about this Tea Party moment that the left might be having in this election cycle. What should other progressives across the country be taking away from this race?
I think, number one, you need to build both equally your platform and your connections to your community, right? I think that's number one. That's the most important thing that you can do, especially as a progressive. We don't have the backing of billionaires. I think that the way we need to also take away that the way people have been doing things for the last 100 years is not the way we need to do things now. I think Kat has innovated in the streaming, fundraising community, but also it allowed her to make a connection to people in a way that you don't often get. Her and I, we used to joke that these are her fireside chats, right? Fireside and Hades, I guess kind of the joke about that. Hades 2, she would say. But I think the other takeaway that we really need to take from this is that political campaigns can be a force for good. We don't have to just spend money on ads and spend money on mailers. We can actually use our platforms, our community building, our name recognition to get people to donate to mutual aids, to make sure that our community partners are taken care of, and most importantly, to use our influence to protect the members of our community that are being attacked by nefarious forces.
It's come tomorrow. If this result holds, if Daniel Biss wins, what's going to be? You've talked about how close of a friend you are to Kat. What's going to be your advice to her on what should come next?
My advice to her is that although she's not going to want to. I mean, she said that if she doesn't make this out, she's not going to go any further in politics. She was just doing this as a chance to try to, in her words, fight some Nazis, rebuild our country, and then go back to hanging out with her cat. I'll say this, Kat, this country needs you. They need people with voices like yours. They need people with conviction like yours. And if you don't win today, our battle is the next time around, and the next time around, and the next time around, until I make you the president like Abraham Lincoln. So, get ready for the White House, Ms. Abughazaleh.
So let's assume then that if she does, I'll ask you it on the other side. If she comes out, pulls this out, the narrow victory here by the end of the night, what are you going to tell her to go and fight for in Congress, recognizing that she is just one of 435 voices?
Yeah, I think one of the major things I'm going to be pushing it towards is articles of impeachment for Donald Trump. That is imperative. He needs to be stopped right now. I think after that, the biggest thing we need to be focused on is health care. We need to do a very strong push towards Medicare for all. And then, I think when it comes down to it, because those are all things that you can do when you have power. Kat and I were both very versed in Robert's rules of engagement. We're both debate nerds. Make it hell for them. I always think about her and myself and that, we're not trapped in Congress. They're trapped in there with us, right? We are going to make them do their job. We are going to make every single second of their cushy little congressional lives a living hell until they do what they need to do to take care of the American people. That's their job. That's their creed, and we're going to hold their feet to the fire.
We did not see Bernie Sanders or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorse in this race. Should they have?
Yes, they should have. I say that unequivocally. And this is someone who, I regained my faith in politics the first time with Bernie, second time with Kat. And AOC, I'm from New York State, a place called Rochester. So I was watching that AOC race very carefully. And I remember talking to a buddy of mine who was a political in New York State, and the idea of an AOC beating Joe Crowley was impossible. He could not conceive of it. And I remember telling him, she's going to win. And she did win. And that's the same thing I told Kat at her announcement party. She's going to win because she cares about the people, and I'm excited to see what she does with that.
Thank you very much, man. Before I let you go, my last question is going to be about you personally.
Yeah.
Right now, we see this government is sending billions of dollars into the Gulf to fund an illegal war of choice.
Yes.
And also, Americans are dying over there. What are the issues that you're facing here at home that the government should be spending that money on instead? How could it be bettering your life here today?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, I'm a diabetic. Healthcare is a huge, huge thing for me. I almost died from a combo of diabetes and COVID. And, I think about how if we had the President Bernie Sanders, how prepared we would have been for a century-long coming global pandemic. But so I think healthcare is something they should be spending their money on. I have my fair share of student loan debt. That's something that the government should be taking care of. But also, I look around this great city and I see the homeless epidemic that we have. There is no reason why in the richest country on earth why people should be hungry, homeless, and untaken care of. So those are the things that they should be spending their money on. We should be building a better society in America, not destroying societies that are just trying to get by.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Blue. I really appreciate it. Anything else you want to add while you got the platform?
Just run for something. Do it. Do it. Do it. Run for something. You are the change that you want to see. I believe in you like I believe in Kat, and maybe I'll see you there on the campaign trail.
Thanks so much, man. Let me steal that microphone back from you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. All right. I'm going to take a moment to reset here, and I'm going to give you vote counts again in just a second. But before I do, I want to remind you all that what we do here at Status Quo is not free. I'm only able to be standing here right now, being live here from Cat Abughazaleh's election night watch party, thanks to the generous support of our donors that we're able to track and document these historical moments, these inflection points for the Democratic Party and for the progressive movement. We're only able to do that with the support of our members. So if you are a member, thank you so much. If you are not yet, please go to statuscoup.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go to make us truly independent journalism. We don't do ads here. You don't hear me pitching toothpaste or any other bullshit. I only have to pitch our memberships to you every, half hour or so on these streams, because that's all we use to get by here at Status Coup. That's it. We run our day-to-day operations on $5 at a time that you give us. And I am so humbled that I can say that, and that you can know that what comes out of my mouth is not, beholden to any corporate or partisan interest. It is beholden only to you, our viewers. So statuscoup.com/join is so important. Thank you from the bottom of my heart if you are able to join. Okay, so coming back here to our election results, things have not changed much. According to the New York Times, as of right now, we've got Daniel Biss, who is still sitting at 30% of the vote. Kat has ticked up somewhat, gained a little bit here, up to 25%, and Laura Fine is back at 20%. So there's about that 5% gap right now between Cat Abughazale, who is very much the major progressive challenger in this race. She is the progressive who's doing the best in this race. Again, there are 16 candidates in this race, running just 5 points behind Daniel Biss as of right now. Yeah, it seems that as more votes have been coming in, that gap between Cat Abughazale and Daniel Biss is narrowing. Whether or not that's going to be enough, I'm not in a position to be able to say that from where I'm standing here on the floor of her watch party. But I'll say that the energy in here right now is up, right? It's, we've talked to a couple of people already, and even though I've laid out, hey, she's down, a lot of the vote is in, you don't get the sense from at least the two that I've talked to so far, or from the general vibe in here tonight, that it's really disappointing in any major way, at least not yet. It doesn't feel like people are resigned or have really given up any hope. I'm catching up with messages that I'm getting from our crew right now as well. My boss Jordan is reminding me that we want to cover more progressive challengers like this across the country. In fact, I have some tentative plans to do some stuff with the actual socialist, avowedly socialist gubernatorial candidate running in the Democratic primary. Her name is Francesca Hong in Wisconsin, who is winning right now, by the way, if you go by major polling. She is slightly ahead in that race. The socialist is winning in Wisconsin right now. We want to bring you things from her campaign. We had plans to go on the road and actually go around with Abdul Sayed's campaign for Senate in Michigan. We had to cancel those plans because of the war in Iran. Or in Iran, excuse me for my mispronunciation there. But for the war in Iran, thank you, Donald Trump, for that. But we're going to reschedule for just a little bit later this year. Brian Plattner in Maine is another one we talked about quite extensively. There are all of these very interesting progressive challengers. Dan Osborne, though his politics are a little more muddied, but certainly a populist, right? But there are a lot of these populist or left candidates in states across this country right now that are running these insurgent campaigns and doing quite well, much like Cat Abughazale has proven here. But the only way we can go on the ground is if we have the money to do so. And that's another reason if you want to see us at more events like this, covering more races like this, please, statuscoup.com/join. I want to take a moment here to call out some of the super chats that we've gotten so far from Catch My Whiff. Gave us $5 and said a little coffee funding. Thank you very much. We do run on caffeine here in the journalism world. I wouldn't be anywhere without it. I actually don't drink coffee, but it will go towards my Coke Zero fund. Maybe I shouldn't say the brand until they sponsor us, but just kidding. We don't want corporate sponsors. Then we've got Steve Wilson, who gave us $1.99. Thank you, Steve. Fly Chomper Fly, who gave us $5. Thank you, Fly. Steve Wilson again gave us another $1.99. Thank you. Jean Breakinkind is a member for 3 months now. Thank you so much, Jean. And she says, happy to be here, and we are happy to have you. So far for YouTube members, we have Sandira Endorsment, and I'm sorry that I butchered your name. My last name is Cestkowski, so I know the pain of having that Polish last name. And then Christina Richardson as well. And through the website, we have Shani and Judith. Thank you all so much for your support. Really appreciate it. I am going to ask some more people for interviews, perhaps these people who are standing right behind me. So just bear with me here for just another moment. Pardon me, folks. I'm a reporter. I'm interviewing people about why they support Kat and what they feel like the message is. You mind? What's your name?
Oh, my name's Ogechi.
Sorry?
Ogechi. Sorry, let me... I'm sorry. My name's Ogechi sometimes.
I want to get it right.
Ogechi.
Ogechi.
Yes, Ogechi.
Ogechi. Nice to meet you. I'm JT.
Hi.
Yes. You mind if we stand right over here?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have, you can. I'm sorry to squeeze you into the corner, but do you mind just taking another step over so I can get in the frame with you? All right. And then, do you mind if I pin this to you?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I am here with Ogechi. Ogechi, can I get you to spell your name for me?
Okay, yeah, sure. It's Ogechi. And my last name is Ike, I-K-E.
Thank you very much, Ogechi. So, what's your connection to the campaign? Why are you here tonight?
Yeah, so I kind of started, it's actually not funny, it's when Humans Report did a, highlight first. I was like, hey, let me, figure out, let me look into it. So I did, and I think it's, a lot of things with this, and it's pretty genuine, but also, I think at the time I was kind of I wanted to give up on politics, give up on Americans completely at the time, and I guess I got some hope back, but also it's actually kind of thinking having a mutual aid hub at the campaign office was actually really cool for me, and it actually kind of ended up turning into a third space for me, and
the Cat volunteers, right?
No, he's the president.
No, sorry, press. Yeah.
I'm interviewing.
Yeah, we're doing an interview right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No,
and can I have you
it's
just
fine.
turn a little bit this way towards the camera for
Yeah,
me?
sure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
But also, she wasn't afraid to call what's going on in Gaza. You know, saying genocide. And I understand. And also actually paying for staff $25 an hour, but also actually showing up for things such as this Broadview. She's had lots of strikes, and she also has been using the platform to highlight other organizations. I know that people have the carpetbagger thing, which actually one little aside that actually personifies the black people coming up north, great immigration. Just want to say that. But also, I'm okay, fine. But if you want to say, oh, she just got your did something, well, you've been here for what have you done? What have you done with the time that you've been here? And yeah, I try to help these people. Because the fact of the matter is, we are in. She's actually been really good on things. For example, one, not just foreign policy, but also AI. Because I'm worried. We have a serious problem if fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene is to the left of the Democratic leadership. You got this, and then also she's actually pretty receptive to things. I've been working on policy ideas to actually help people. Hey, this is a Democratic social stuff.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ogechi, but I want to make sure the audience can hear you. My producer was just in my ear saying that apparently I got the microphone in a bad spot. It's picking up the music more than your voice.
Oh, yeah.
Apologies. I'll just put it way up here. Sorry, it'll feel like you're swallowing it a little bit.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
and then I'll have you stand right over here, just so your face is a little bit more on camera.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry about that. So you were in the middle of, you had just talked about kind of enumerating out some reasons here.
Yeah, and I also was trying to she actually was very receptive to some ideas. So, for example, she actually trying to get UBI. UBI is at least starting for people who are stay at home for domestic labor, because that is trillions of dollars of unpaid labor. But also trying to actually give people a reason to vote for someone. Because all the time they're like, oh yeah, well, what are you for? And I'm gonna be honest, they're not really answering that, and it's really annoying to me. And it's actually something that will bite them in the ass, which, I mean, Democrats, because and I'm saying this firstly as a warning, you have to have a strong stance, or else we will have a neo-Nazi in the White House come 2028. I'm not kidding. Tucker Carlson, he is trying to run for office. If World War III doesn't happen. But and I'm gonna be honest, in terms of I want you to okay, fine, how about this? You smash monopolies, actually smash them, not just tax billionaires. Get rid of billionaires altogether. Have a wealth cap of $5 million. Or having a digital bill of rights to actually online privacy. Yeah.
Do you you're bringing up there that billionaires shouldn't exist, and we heard Kat, she talked about that openly on the campaign trail. Do you feel? And there was a lot of outside spending here against Kat in this race. Do you feel like her position on that particular issue is what got a lot of that outside spending in here, or really where do you see that motivation for that outside spending coming from? We've seen a lot of it come from AIPAC, obviously, but other groups as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is because of the fact that I do think it's saying billionaires are into it, which it shouldn't, because I'm going to be honest, not only is it immoral, it's a national security threat. Look what's going on right now. Elon Musk, who's about to become a trillionaire, okay? Why are we letting that happen? Also, the Ellisons are having a media empire right now. And no one's talking, no one's saying, oh, I don't care. I'm no, guys, these people, and even, billionaires, even before the Epstein files came out, dude was hoarding vaccines. He was hoarding vaccines. No one wants to talk about that shit. And he's buying up farmland. Which, by the way, look, actually standing up for rural America, it's pretty good. Standing up for rural America, actually saying, hey, we are going to help with farmers, or hey, and here's how. So, for example, actually buying ways in Main Street, buying them all those dead, empty, warehouses to be empty and debated, actually turning that into and so people don't leave. Also, in immigration too, in terms of immigration. So I'm actually a daughter of Nigerian immigrants, and okay, fine. How about this? No, I don't want immigrants here. Guess what? They came here because we fucked up their homes. Okay? And we're doing it forever. And it pisses me the fuck off. Everyone's oh, I need to be here. I'm okay, one, if you are not First Nation or descendant of slaves, shut up. You came here too. Y'all came here too. Don't you dare. I don't want to hear it. Don't. Also, I'm sorry. And also too, it says also white people. Stephen Miller wants to get rid of, only I have 100 million, which means 140.9 million white people also gotta go. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Because I don't think Europe's gonna take it. So if you don't want to fight for other people, which if you don't, you have empathy issues, do this for self-preservation. Because guess what? Shit's gonna get worse.
Ogechi, when I walked up to you, you were checking the results so far in the race. At this point in the night, Daniel Biss has a slight lead. The last check that I did, it seemed like Kat had started to narrow it a little bit. How are you feeling about the state that this campaign has made? How do you feel about Kat's chances?
I'm not quite sure just yet. I guess it kind of depends. And I don't know. Look, we tried best we can. I do think at at the least she's kind of like helped change the way like people can actually do fundraising, like streaming, or even like saying, hey, we need to have better stances, or actually have like say, hey, let's have a mutual aid hub in our office and actually serve the community to actually prove, hey, I actually give a shit about this place, rather than saying, oh, there's a campaign and you just like, So yeah, I would say that's where I am with it.
No, you're fine.
Do I think that I feel like there is a chance? I haven't checked yet, so I mean, I think there might be a shot right now, but I would say she started with like an outside chance of even getting close. So I say in that respect, it is a success. But I will say this. Daniel Biss couldn't even say what was going on with genocide. He couldn't actually, he was waffling on AI. He was waffling on like a lot of these things that like people say, oh yeah, I care about it. But when it came to actually looking candidates, I guess people just didn't care. Which, look, again, I am not saying that Kat is perfect. I know, I might. She is not. But it does kind of strike me as annoying. No, I wouldn't say annoying, but it just makes it odd that people are saying, hey, this is my genocide, but like, you are essentially going with a guy who, yeah, he said I didn't take AIPAC, but he still went there. He still met with him. So he did actually want to get that.
Ogechi, anything else you would want to add while you have the platform?
Yeah. So I would say personally, I would say, hey, start like coming together and like trying to make your own, like coming up with policies on your own. Like, keep in mind, these people, they are not smarter. They're not smarter than you. They're not more politically savvy than you are. And I think that it's something I've been trying to do, coming up with other people right now, and actually like, hey, try to check it out on other people. Try to form a local community. Like, try to like look at unions, look at labor organizations, or even like small like local businesses, because yeah, I know it's tough, and I know it really it does kind of make, like, looking at the world right now, it's like, oh, says you just want to go hide in a panic room and hold a stuffed animal. But I think that we still have to keep moving. And it is a struggle. But when you look at like many movements before, stopping did not, if they stopped, we wouldn't have had a Civil Rights Act, or we wouldn't have had left. And I know it hurts when the person you did not want to wins, or the person you don't want, like something like certain vote happens. But I think that, look, I would say that it, or at least how I see it, is I'm still alive. So I have to fight. I still have to keep moving. And also, normal's not going to come back, guys. We have to make something new. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. I'll steal the microphone back, and I'll let you get back to the party. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to dive back in for more interviews here. Before I do, we got to get the vote count update. Let's see here. Let's see. Illinois 9th. Not much of a change. I'm seeing a few more votes counted, but the margin remains largely the same, where we have Daniel Biss still at 30% of the vote, Cat Abughazela at 25%, and then Laura Fine at 20%, the remainder, of course, being the remainder of the field, as I said. 16 candidates in this race. Going to see if I can try and get some more information on where the race stands as of right now. I do want to note, sorry, I'm just trying to be sure that I can be sure here, but it looks like Juliana Stratton. I should note, we're here at Cat Abughazale's watch party in the Illinois 9th Congressional District. But of course, there are many other races happening in Illinois tonight. Not least of all is to fill Dick Durbin's Senate seat for the state of Illinois. And in that race, Juliana Stratton, who was not the most progressive candidate in the race, but was likely going to be more progressive than Raja Krishnamurthy, who was a congressman who was also running in the race, but it seemed to be polling ahead, Raja Krishnamurthy. But it seems as though Juliana Stratton is actually leading as of right now. I'm not seeing anything necessarily counting out Pat at this point. But focusing back in on this race, I do want to send her something. You'll notice that in a lot of these interviews, let me straighten out the camera. Hopefully that wasn't driving too many of you nuts. Seeing that just then made me go nuts a little bit. It was a little off kilter. But recentering this race in Illinois 9th District, I want to point something out here. I've made a big deal about the amount of AIPAC spending in this race and the impacts that it might have. Specifically, a tactic that I have highlighted is that AIPAC came in and spent money to create ads lifting up another progressive candidate in this race. And because of that, it seems Bushra Awala, that other progressive candidate in this race, as of right now, has about the votes that Cat Abughazela is down by against Daniel Best. In other words, if this were a ranked choice vote, and it would be a big if because you likely wouldn't get all of them, but if you took all of Bushra Aswala's votes and gave them to Cat Abughazela, Cat would either be nearly tied with Daniel Biss or even slightly in the lead. It'll of course depend on how the final vote count shakes out. But AIPAC's tactics of stepping in and actually backing another progressive might be proving effective here tonight, which is potentially a lesson that AIPAC could take and apply to other races with progressive challengers across the country, as the left seem to be on the cusp of a Tea Party moment. That unlimited spending, that unlimited dark money spending that we allow in this country because of Citizens United might be the deciding factor in this race. Unlimited dark money might be the deciding factor in this race, something that many progressive politicians have called for reform on, for a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. Has not happened in this country since that 2010 Supreme Court ruling. And now it seems that the progressive movement, Democrats, might be influenced again by that sort of outsized, unlimited dark money spending. Of course, it won't be the only factor, right? There will be a lot of finger pointing if Pat does not pull out this race so far, or does not pull out this race tonight. There'll be a lot of blame to go around. There's a lot made about if Bernie Sanders and AOC should have stepped in to endorse Cat Abughazela in the same way that that other progressive members of Congress did, most notably Ilhan Omar. That maybe those endorsements would have been enough to tip the scales. if perhaps the labor movement should have coalesced more behind Kat, instead throwing some of its support behind Daniel Biss, though Kat did get some organized labor support as well. There'll be a lot of blame to go around, but you cannot count out the impacts that unlimited dark money spending had on this race. And I can say that it was AIPAC. I can name that group and I can lay the blame there. And I can point out things like the differences in vote counts between the different candidates and how it would make impacts on this race. I can call out all of these unlimited dark money interests because we are not funded by any of those unlimited dark money interests. One of the benefits of supporting truly independent media like Status Coup, like Midas Touch. We're not reliant or subservient to those same groups the way that a lot of corporate media is. I mean, shit, you look at corporate media in this country right now, and it's owned by just a handful of people. I mean, how many different properties does Larry Ellison own right now? He's in the process of buying CNN. He owns CBS, owns TikTok, is about to own so much of the media landscape in this country, and is using it, it seems, with the changes that he's making at CBS, to actively control the message here in this country, the news that so many people get. And of course that goes with how many different media properties does Disney own in this country. And even social media platforms are divided up between only a handful of oligarchs in this country. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram all by himself. And you label on top of that Elon Musk, who has purchased what is supposed to be kind of like, or has been widely called kind of the town square, the online town square in the form of Twitter. And then, of course, I already point out Larry Ellison owns TikTok, one of the fastest growing social media platforms in the world. And you start to run out of truly independent places where you can get free speech, real news, without some of that corporate influence and interest. You want to help us build that here at Status Coup, go to statuscoup.com/join. For as low, again, as $5 a month, $5 a month, that's 16 cents a day. You go to help keep us editorially independent and ensure that there is a truly independent media outlet in this country. I'm going to go find some more folks here to interview. Pardon me, folks. I'm a reporter. I'm interviewing people about why they're here, why they support the campaign, the message that they're hoping the campaign sends. Would any of you mind if I did an interview with you?
No, I'm all right.
You guys are all good? All right. Can't make you. Thank you. Hi there. I'm a reporter. I'm doing interviews. Would you mind if I interviewed you? I already got him.
You're absolutely should be interviewed.
I'm not a voter though. I'm an immigrant, so I can't vote. I'm just a vegetarian.
Yeah, what?
She's been involved with the campaign for a very long time.
Yeah? You're involved with the campaign. I'd still love to hear why you wanted to get involved in the message that you hope it sends. And why.
Do it.
I was very frustrated with the sitting congresswoman not having any challengers for years. I've been here since 2021, so I've seen a few primaries. That was very frustrating to me, and like her age kept creeping up. So when this primary came around,
Can we do this over by my camera?
oh my god, no, I'm so scared of being deported. I'm so scared of being deported.
That's totally fair. That's fair. I can't force you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry to bother you.
Oh my god, no, you didn't. Absolutely. Enjoy the night. It's all good people around here.
Pardon me, folks. I'm a reporter. I'm out here doing interviews about people who are involved in the campaign, about why they wanted to be involved, the message they hope it sends. Would you mind if I interviewed any of you?
Last time he won, I didn't vote for her, so I would feel like a fraud. I don't live in this district. I'm just here. Also, status coup.
Yes.
I love you guys. You guys do good work.
Hell yeah. I don't care if you voted in this district or not. I still am interested about what your involvement is with the campaign and about the message that you hope that this sends to the broader Democratic Party or to other progressive challengers.
I've never been interviewed like that. I think I'm good for now.
Okay.
Maybe.
Anybody else in this group feeling brave?
I'll do it.
You'll do it? What's your name?
I'm Leela.
Leela? Nice to meet you. I'm JT.
Nice to meet you.
Bring you over to my camera right over here.
On camera?
Yep. You can do it. You can do it. I'll keep it easy on you.
You are wearing a cat hat.
I know, but I'm sorry. I apologize.
All right. Pardon me, folks. Pardon me, guys. I'm a reporter. I'm interviewing people about why they wanted to be involved with the campaign, what the message they hope that it sends to the rest of the country, to other Democrats, is from tonight. Would you guys mind if I interviewed you? Sure? My camera's over here. What's your name? Jade? I'm JT. Nice to meet you. Come on this way.
Wait.
Pardon me, folks.
Just ran out without telling her to pull away.
All right, Jade, I'm going to have you put this on. I'll clip this to your scarf. Try to speak up a little bit over the music if you can, and I'll adjust this down. All right, Jade. If I can have you start, just spell your name for me, please.
Jade, Renato, Jade, and last name?
Yep.
Granato.
And what's your involvement with the campaign?
Volunteer.
Volunteer. What made you want to volunteer for Kat's campaign?
I agree with Kat's political worldview. She was the only major candidate to call it a genocide. I liked her grassroots funding. I thought she had integrity, and I thought she was a good person and a good candidate.
Good person, good candidate. What was everything that you did out on the campaign trail for her? You're a volunteer. What did you do?
Door knocking, phone banking, text banking, screen printing, anything.
You're not the first person to bring up, genocide as a word here in this conversation when I asked why you supported Kat. I got to admit, that's an issue that's important to me as a person as well, but I just kind of always assume that sort of worldview, like the importance of Palestine or foreign policy in general, is something that isn't really important to more people, right?
I think it crosses a moral line.
Yeah, did you run into that in your door knocking and stuff? Did it come up with more people?
Yeah, of course it came up. It's a very Jewish district, one of the most outside of New York. So a lot of people have mixed relationships with Israel and how they feel about it. And yeah, I rubbed up against that a lot, especially in certain communities of Israel. There's a big generational line on that. I think younger people feel the moral line being crossed, and older people are more, at least, conflicted about it.
Well, at least conflicted. So, it's not even that you're running into people who are we have to support Israel full stop, or at least not as many, right?
That, but a lot of older people, it's like a mix.
A mix.
A mix of we can't abandon Israel, but I'm not going to call it a genocide.
So then, right now we're seeing Kat get about 25% of the vote so far. There's still a vote that has to come in yet.
Right.
But do you feel again, it's a big, diverse primary. There's 16 candidates.
Right.
Do you feel 25% was her ceiling? Meaning, did she carve out that niche here and just maximize every vote, or was there more to get if there were fewer candidates?
Ceiling, or even if the weather was wrong. I think her ceiling was really high because her base was the hardest to pull, the least likely to vote. So I think it could have been really variable.
So if you're talking about a race that's that variable, do you want to see Kat run again and try and get some circumstances that might be more favorable to her?
If she wants to do that to herself again.
If she wants to do that to herself.
Yeah, it wasn't. It required a tremendous amount of strength. It was hard to run.
For our audience, which is national, can you describe?
She was called a terrorist. She was called like an anti-Semite. Everyone was calling her a carpetbagger. They were digging into her family history and like where they live, and how much money they have. They were attacking her partner. Like it was just gross. There was a lot of whatever you could say about her. Someone was saying it and it was going around.
You saw a lot of outside influence on this campaign as well.
And millions of dollars to smear them.
Yeah, I mean, AIPAC backed up a dump truck of cash to this race, millions upon millions of dollars. And at least part of that money went to running ads for another progressive candidate who, as of right now at least, has about a number of votes that could make up the difference between Kat and Daniel
their
Best.
strategy seemed to kind of work to split the progressive vote. And they had like $1 million to throw at it.
What is the lesson that you think other progressive candidacies across the country should take from this to prepare themselves for similar kinds of tactics, name calling, or dividing the progressive vote?
Honestly, the biggest thing is outreach to the Jewish community directly. Like, go out and shut the door before they can even get through it, kind of thing. Because they can obviously spend a lot of money on ads, and it'll target certain communities. But if that community already likes you and trusts you, it's the TV. It's 2026. We all know it's not very honest all the time.
We've already touched on a few different issues that this campaign could hinge on. I mean, we talked about the outside spending. You brought up the weather, and I didn't even prompt that or really talk about that as like a potential.
College kids have probably got to take trains right outside.
Right. Yeah, I'm not discounting your. I was going to ask you what other issues do you see in this campaign?
So I was an election judge, so I worked one of the precincts. A lot of people were confused about where to vote. A lot of people had mail-in ballots, but most of the boxes closed yesterday.
Sorry, say that again?
They had mail-in ballots, but most of the ballot boxes closed yesterday, with only a handful open today. So they were confused where to put it. There was a lot of just bureaucracy and hoops to jump through. And then it hurts because it's so cold to be outside, but it's like, when people they drove to the precinct, found out it's the wrong location, had to go somewhere else, they were mad.
When you were doing some of your door knocking, what were some of the issues that people most resonated with? That, like when you would say, hey, Kat stands for this, what was like the pushing on the open door kind of issues?
Pushing up against ICE, upholding democracy, and affordability are the three that I saw a lot.
It's interesting you say those issues, because those are issues where Daniel Best tried to kind of stand as close to Kat as he could on those issues, right? Like we saw him do, certainly on like the ICE stuff, he had that kind of performative moment with...
He saw the message worked.
Yeah.
So he took it.
Yeah. Do you feel like Kat was the leader on this race? Meaning she came out and then this would follow?
Yeah, I think it was obvious. Like you can even see policy being introduced by Laura Fine in real time to respond to Kat's momentum. Like it was obvious that she was setting the tone. But that doesn't make it that's still a lot of money.
There's still votes to be counted in this race, so we're not calling it by any means. But how are you feeling at this moment in the night?
Statistically, it doesn't look great. But it really depends on the breakdown of, there's about 20% of the vote missing last time I checked. It depends where it is. There's some places that are going to be heavily Kat. There's some places where it's really divided.
Where are you expecting it to be heavily Kat?
Rogers Park, Uptown, around...
the actual Chicago parts of the district, rather than the suburbs.
Especially with more immigrants, more queer people, more urban. And then Fine, I think, her stronghold is the richest townships, the most affluent. And this is popular in Evanston.
Where he is the current mayor.
Where he is the mayor.
Yeah.
Right.
which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for breaking that down for us, the geography out here. We've touched on a bunch of issues so far that we've identified as like the issues in this campaign. I want to ask you about another one. Bernie Sanders and AOC did not endorse in this race. Should they have?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a pretty clear choice. I think in the last couple months, there's been at most 3 people that are really viable, like beating everyone by a margin, but they are pretty close together. Of the 3, Kat was like the clear progressive, clearly more aligned. I think they have some responsibility to nurture their movement, like their more progressive movement.
Do you feel like they could have marshaled the votes to,
I think they would have meant a lot. People love them, AOC and Bernie. And a lot of their colleagues that caucused with them did endorse. So it's not even asking a lot.
In the lead up to the election here in just the last few days, there was a lot made about Kat's foreign policy. Not surprisingly, not necessarily on her stance on Gaza and Israel, but actually like on her stance on Taiwan and some of these things. Did you hear that at all? Like out on the campaign? Oh, you did, really? Okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of people were upset. My understanding is that someone else wrote most of it.
Yeah, just to let the audience in here, a little bit of background. One of Kat's campaign staffers had written up and sent out an email that summarized supposedly some of Kat's positions on a number of issues, perhaps most notably on the issue of Taiwan, where it seemed that she was saying that the United States should abandon its strategic ambiguity on Taiwan and agree to come to Taiwan's defense in the event of a Chinese invasion or reunification. Kat softened that position when she came out and clarified in some of the follow-on interviews that she did, where she said, I do hold that position, but really only as a way to counter Donald Trump's chaos.
I think she was kind of walking this really tight rope of she didn't write that policy and she might not fully agree with it, but also she's the like integrity candidate who doesn't flip-flop in Israel. So like being like, whoops, I don't believe that. Hurt the idea of Kat.
Yeah, she had to own it to a certain degree.
She kind of had to swallow it a little bit. Yeah, and there's no winning there. Like you hired someone who wrote it, now it's there, and that was actually the second time someone had to get fired because of changing the message too much on the campaign.
A lot of people that I've talked to here tonight, and I don't think it should surprise anyone because this is Kat's campaign watch party. It's full of a bunch of like Kat staffers and volunteers. But a lot of the people that I've talked about the sense of hope that Kat's candidacy gave them. I'm just curious, coming out of this, do you think will you volunteer for another political campaign? Again, do you think that it's easy to capture, your hope, imagination, or inspiration for the future?
Easy, but it's straightforward. You just have to be progressive enough. I don't know how easy that is.
What's progressive enough? Give me the check.
I campaigned for Bernie. I would have campaigned for Zoran if I was in New York. I campaigned for Kat. It's just there's certain policies I think that most of us progressives want. They're not as popular as they ought to be. And it's just standing on those, like some basics, like no super PAC money, universal health care, call it a genocide. We're already miles ahead. I don't know if it's easy, but it is straightforward.
Anything else you want to add while you have the platform?
I think that it was a hell of a campaign for what we were up against. Like, just taking small donations from individuals versus millions just pouring in monthly from... It's amazing that we even got this far.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Let me steal that microphone back from you, and then I'll let you get back to the watch. Snagged on something. Oh, I see. Sorry about this.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I was like,
here we go. Thanks so much. All right. Whew. All right, folks. We gotta take a quick break off to the side of the camera just to check battery levels really quick, and then I will be back with you. Looks like we're doing all right here. We have no idea. This is always the thing with election reporting. You have no idea when a race is going to be called, and it could be, could be here a while yet. Who knows? And so I got to keep an eye on the batteries here on both our live unit and on the camera itself to be sure that we can go the distance. And so far, we're looking good. So long as this doesn't go into the wee hours of the morning, we should be all right. At least as of right now. So let's get our latest update on vote totals here. All right, let's take a look. Fresh. Illinois 9th District. All right. Cat continues to close the gap ever so slightly here. So far with 86% of the vote in. Daniel Biss is at 30%, Cat Abughazela is at 26%, and Laura Fine is at 20%. I don't know if there's enough votes still out where if Cat continues to gain at this rate, if she can pull ahead, it'll be damn close if she can. And this race may come down to the wire and the way things are trending right now. Good news, I suppose, if you're Cat and you're behind and want to catch up. Bad news if you're a reporter who wants to go home at some point in the night. But I'll be rocking here with you guys until either all my batteries die or we get a call in the race tonight. But yeah, so right now, Cat had been 6 points out of the lead. Then she was 5 points. Now she's only 4 points, at least according to the New York Times. Again, that's with 86% of the vote in. That distance continues to close ever so slightly. And I want to point out a little bit of what of a feat this is. Cat Abughazela, well, there's a lot that's been made about her being like an influencer, really a journalist. Before this and having some kind of profile, she worked for national publications like Mother Jones before running. Well, there's a lot made of that. I'll point out she's 26 years old. She was a relative unknown at the time she started running, and she is this competitive with the current mayor of Evanston. That's Daniel Biss. Is the current mayor of Evanston, and Evanston, Illinois is a huge part of this district. I don't want to act like it is the entirety of the district, but it is a large chunk of it. And Daniel Biss is a known name here in the 9th District. I'll just say from when we were on the ground, this is just anecdotal, but when we were here on the ground in Chicago during Operation Midway Blitz for 2 months, the few times that we would come through the northern part of the city here as we're tracking ICE's movements, and we would drive through the 9th District, the district that we are in right now for this campaign, we noticed that there was a huge chunk, or many signs for Daniel Biss out in yards. Like, he just clearly had a presence here and was a known quantity and a known factor. When you're the current mayor of one of the largest cities in the district, that's going to happen. But as we just heard from some of the volunteers out here, Cat's base is actually in the city of Chicago, the northern edge of which, some of the northern neighborhoods of which is really her base of support. Younger voters, more progressive voters. Daniel Biss's base is in Evanston, where he is the mayor, and then Laura Fine in some of the more outlying suburbs, the wealthier parts, was really where her base was. I am just looking up currently just some more commentary here on the race from some of the election Twitter and Blue Sky folks, just to see if there's any new analysis on this particular race. I'm not seeing anything that is like definitive, saying like, oh, it really looks like this is going to win or Cat's going to pull this out as of yet. So it seems like we're going to be in for perhaps a little bit of a haul here.
Are you live right now?
Yeah, I am. What's up?
Good, my bad. I remember seeing you at Broadview, and I really appreciated your stuff. Going to Minnesota, going to Chicago was awesome.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. What's your name?
Rick.
Rich?
Rick.
Oh, Rick. JT, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Would you mind if I interviewed you about your connection to the campaign?
Sure.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All
right.
Ready?
Yeah, let me throw this on you here.
All right.
All right.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
I'm here with Rick. Rick, can I have you start? Just spell your name for me.
It's Rick, R-I-C-K, Strom, S-T-R-O-M.
What's your connection to the campaign?
So I work in media as well. I work for the Young Turks Network. So I've known Kat for a little bit through media when she was with Media Matters. I think she ran a really good campaign.
Are you here tonight as a journalist or for Kat?
I'm more so here in support.
More so here in support.
Yeah, I think she ran a really good campaign, and I think, unfortunately, as you know and as everyone else knows, and as independent media people who take it in knows, this is exactly the problem with politics, is that we are seeing the infusion of money take over and how they can try and manipulate the voter base and the electorate over and over.
Spell it out for people. Spell it out. Make it simple. Break it down. All right.
So
I'm going to take notes. How did the big money influencers come in on this one?
Oh, the big money influencers. So basically what happened, in my view, is we saw Kat pulling really low. She started gaining some ground. And then we saw a mixture of what I would say is not a third-party candidate, but like a third candidate who might siphon votes away. There are some rumors that one of the candidates that got 4,000 to 5,000 votes got some infusion of money to stay in the race when they vowed to get out of the race. Didn't necessarily happen. She stayed in, potentially siphoned off votes off of Kat. And then a lot of money coming in against Kat on attack ads, which can only help some of the people that would benefit if she were not to win. So we're going to see how it plays out. Hopefully it plays out in Kat's favor. I'm rooting for her. I'm sure a lot of people online and in the chat, I'll check it out after this. Again, I didn't know you were live.
No, you're all right, man. You're all right, dude.
But yeah, I'm hoping that we see some sort of an upset, but it looks a little daunting at the moment.
A little daunting at the moment. So, Rick, yeah, she has been gaining in the night. You just described it as a little daunting. Like, what's your optimism, pessimism? Where are you?
I'm only seeing what mainstream news is showing us. You know, I'm only seeing that like every, what would you say, 3 minutes we get an update. So I haven't really seen the next dump of votes coming in. From what I saw, she was still down maybe 5,000 some votes, but that was 20-ish minutes ago, so I apologize. But yeah, I think it would just be great for the working class, people who are anti-genocide, and those who really are in support of candidates not taking corporate PAC money.
All right. So you're out here more as a friend of Kat. Describe who she is as a person.
Again, I've only met her like once or twice. We've known each other through media, mainly when she worked for Media Matters, Mother Jones, etc. I mean, she's awesome. She's a super awesome person. I think at 26, for her to be doing what she's doing is phenomenal. And even if she doesn't get the result that she wants tonight, I think that she could easily run again and she could easily win again.
Getting to my next question.
Think about this. Like, like how I view it in sports, like she's a rookie. Like, this is her first time ever doing this. And she's learning so much, yet showing us what a strong campaign looks like for a Gen Z candidate. So I think she can only go up from here. I mean, I know you're asking the questions, but I'm just switching on you. Like, you've been covering this stuff for a while. What's your read on the way she ran her campaign?
Yeah, I was really conflicted coming in here. You know, we were talking about if we were going to cover this race. We wanted to cover it, and then sort of at the last minute, I started to. I don't know. I just got a pessimistic feeling. You know, when we were out here on the ground during all of the Chicago immigration crackdown this past fall. I was just saying it on stream here. We would drive through the neighborhoods here in the 9th, and you would see a lot of BIS signs. Like, he was clearly a known factor, a known quantity here. As the mayor of Evanston, you would expect that. And it was coming right at the same time that Kat was getting indicted by the federal government for her protesting out at Broadview.
Indicted.
Yeah.
Let's emphasize indicted.
Yeah, really ending up becoming attempting to make her a political prisoner,
100%.
right, by this administration.
100%.
You know, we're seeing that happen at the same time. BIS also seemed to be doing a lot of things. To me, it seemed more like posturing as a politician, but he was doing it, in a way that was trying to not necessarily outflank Kat, because he was never going to Kat's left on issues. issues, but he was getting very close to her on certain issues, especially on the resistance of ICE. He had a very public and performative altercation with Greg Rubino.
I remember that.
That got a lot of play online. This was at the exact same time that Kat was getting indicted or around there. So it was, she would be, she's doing all of this like big protesting out Broadview, saying this is how leaders should be. Yes. And then of course after she pushes in that direction, this, moves in that direction as well. So she clearly had an influence on this campaign. And I think the people of the 9th will probably be better served as a result, right? That their leaders, at least performatively, have to move in that direction. Whether or not that ends with like this actually making any sort of concessions here, policy-wise, or feels like he has to, if he gets this election and then, goes on to win in November, whether or not that translates to him governing in a more progressive manner remains to be seen. I never hold my breath for, Democrats more in the center.
100%.
But, that's at least the way it's supposed to work that we're taught in school, right? That, like, you run an election and then, like, all the candidates, they all... and everything works out, right?
Yeah.
So,
real quick, if I could interject. Yeah. I remember seeing you at Broadview a few times. I was there as well. One of the things that I kept hearing from people when I was interviewing them is they wanted to see their politicians out there.
Yes.
They kept saying, where is Pritzker?
Yes.
Where are these people? Nobody is here. And yet, what he just described, rightfully, is the polarizing differences between Daniel Biss confronting Gregory Bobino one time and Cat Abughazale getting indicted and thrown on the ground multiple times. So if you were to just like be somewhat politically involved, and I know like Status Coup News, people are very, very into this stuff, but like the normies, if you were to see something like that, I would at least hope you would say, oh, this person actually does... Can you cuss on here?
Yes.
This person does give a shit. They actually do care about people getting tortured in modern-day concentration camps right across my street. I mean, I interview people, not live, but I interview people in Broadview who said, we never wanted this. We never asked for this. We don't want them here. So to see that and see Biss get one clip out of it when Kat is throwing her... let's be very generous, a 5'5" frame, maybe 5'4". She is tiny, getting brutalized by this like secret police force. It is really, really troubling to see that. I don't know. She's like throwing her body on the line, and people aren't. It sucks.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah, agreed. And I wanted to ask you, you say you don't know her, like, you've met a couple of times, but let's pretend here for a moment that either that she doesn't pull this out. Your advice to her tomorrow would be what? As somebody who, is a professed Kat fan.
My advice to her? I mean, it's a good question. From the outside looking in, first off, I would say this. You have a career in this. Like, do not doubt yourself because you lost to a guy who is probably going to be like an okay candidate. It's really interesting because she has done so much great work as a journalist on the far right. I would say for the time being, go back to that, because as we are seeing the Allisons and many others buy up our media, what we really need right now is more voices like hers in media if she were not to pull it out. Advice-wise, I would say do it again. Run it back, honestly. I would love to see a rematch in a few years if this were to win, of course.
Let's flip it now, okay? So, like I said, the lead that this has been narrowing as more votes come in. If Kat's able to pull it out, it'd be razor sharp. But let's imagine a future where she does. What's your advice to her? How do you want to see her govern when she's just one of 435 voices in Congress?
Full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead?
Full steam ahead.
What does full steam ahead mean?
Just, like, shake shit up. Like, you cover this stuff, I cover this stuff. The one thing we don't want to see is someone who's, like, going to promise all these things and then break promises. Like, what I would want to see from her is, and she hasn't really answered the question when members of the press have asked, like, do you want to join the squad if you were to join Congress? And she's like downplaying it, not giving a straight answer. What I would say is align with the people who got you elected, which she absolutely would do. And again, the one big red line, what should be a red line for everybody within the electorate, is do you take corporate PAC money? She hasn't. So I think she's going to be clean as a whistle. Probably in the category of the Ilhan Omars and Rashida Tlaibs if she were to win.
Okay. So, Rick, anything? I grabbed you. You came up just to say hello to me.
I know. Again, I
and
did
then
not know you were live.
Well, yeah. Then I roped you into all this, so I appreciate you being game for all this. Oh, I did remember one thing that what you said just sparked a memory for me. You were talking about, see so many candidates who promise so much and then achieve, jack shit or, drive in the complete opposite direction when they're actually in office. We've been talking about Broadview, which is the ICE detention facility here in the greater Chicago area, that public black site that exists in full view of everybody, where there are protests still going on, by the way.
Yes.
People still getting arrested by Illinois State Police by Governor Pritzker, a Democrat state police, for standing up and protesting against that site. But what we saw out there at that site was we saw both Illinois senators go out and make one visit to that site where they performatively brought some water bottles to the protesters.
Yeah.
Performatively brought some water bottles to the protesters, and then apparently had tried to ask to be let inside of the facility. We're told no, and then
they got like a pretty please. Was basically
yeah. Please let us in.
Yeah.
And then when they were told no, held a big press conference in front of 1 million cameras.
Humongous press.
Press.
How many people would you say were there?
Oh,
at least
for
50?
press? Oh, God, yeah.
Minimum?
Huge. It was the most out of any day out there. Fuck all the days when people were getting tear gassed and arrested. When two senators come to performatively deliver water bottles, all of a sudden all the corporate media is there. Jesus Christ. Screaming at all of the press who's been out there day after day, like, get down out of my shot, get out of the way. Talking over all of us and the questions we want to ask. Fuck that. That's not the soapbox I came to stand on. But thank you. But they give that speech and leave, both Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin. What do they then fight for in the Senate? Fucking shit.
Yep.
There's a government shutdown that then the Dems cave on. There's now another shutdown of just DHS, where the Dems are pushing for just moderate reforms, nibbling around the edges, pushing for body cameras as if having another angle on all of the brutality that is happening out here is somehow going to stop it, when what people really need and what we're hearing from people on the ground in all of these cities is they want Nuremberg trials. That's what people want.
Yes.
So that is like the kind of candidacy and insanity it feels like you're living through when you're reporting on this stuff and oftentimes screaming into the void. Rick, thank you so much for that little bit of catharsis. I needed it.
Thank you.
I'll pay you for my therapy session later.
You guys do great work.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thank you. I appreciate it.
I love everything you guys do. You guys are fucking badasses. Love Status Coup News. Shout out to you guys, man. And shout out to everybody watching. Thank you for supporting independent media. It's very important in these times.
I steal that back from you, and I'll let you get back to it, man. Thank you for being game. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you just heard that pitch there to support independent media. I hate to beat a dead horse. My boss, Jordan, probably wouldn't like me calling it beating a dead horse. Sorry about that, Jordan. But please, if you can, go to statusquo.com/join. You can be a part of this new media revolution that is taking over right now, that a lot of corporate press doesn't know what to do with. You see the viewerships declining year after year for cable news and for mainstream news outlets, whereas independent media, like Status Quo, continues to grow. That is thanks to all of our supporters. If you have been with us here for the last several months through all of the ICE brutality and bullshit that we have covered on the ground, putting our own bodies at risk over the last many months, the last year of coverage in so many different places. Thank you. If you've been with Status, I mean, there are some real OGs here with Status Quo. I had the pleasure of meeting on our members call just this past Thursday. Shout out to all of you who've been with us for years. But if you're just finding us here, I hear that there's 1,000 of you watching right now. First of all, thank you for being with us here at Cat Abughazale's watch party as she continues to close this gap with Daniel Biss in this Democratic primary here in Illinois 9th. If you want to keep being with us, first of all, get subscribed to us on YouTube or on Instagram, on any of our social media platforms. We're also on Twitter, on Blue Sky. I believe we are on TikTok, though. I think we might be being censored there in some way, according to our producer, Michelle. Although maybe we got that issue addressed, I'm not sure. But follow us on all of our social media. And then if you really want to help support us, again, statusquo.com/join. Just as low as $5 a month. you can help us build a truly independent media outlet that is not beholden to any corporate or partisan interests. I get to talk directly to you. We want to do more coverage like this in the future, where we are covering more progressive insurgent campaigns across the country. I've laid out some of the plans that we had here in the near future, where we have had, I'm in active talks right now to be at Francesca Hong's campaign. She is the socialist candidate who is actually winning right now the Democratic primary for governor in the state of Wisconsin. And we've also been in talks with Abdul al-Sayed's campaign in Michigan for Senate, where he is in a very tight three-way race that is very similar to what we're seeing here in terms of the outside spending and the way the candidates have positioned themselves here, similar to here in Illinois' 9th. And then, of course, we've also been in talks to maybe cover Graham Plattner in Maine or Dan Osborne in Nebraska. And if there are other insurgent candidates, progressive populist candidates that you think merit this kind of coverage, that are deliberately being suppressed or attacked by mainstream corporate media, please let us know. We're always open to more suggestions. All right, I should probably, it's been a while since we've actually given an update here on vote totals. So I'll let me see what we got here, and I'm always on the wrong app here whenever I want to check vote totals. No change. While we did get some more votes in, so at least according to the New York Times as of right now, we're at 89% of votes in, with Daniel Biss at 30% and Cat Abughazela at 26%. So still a 4-point gap in between the candidates. Let me see if I can get raw votes here. Yeah, it looks like Cat is down by under 5,000 votes at this point. I want to look at the other candidates because Bushra Amawala has 5,500 votes as of right now. Bushra Amawala is another progressive candidate in this race who got support from AIPAC in this race. They actually created an ad for her. And right now, she has enough votes to make up the difference between Cat Abughazela and Daniel Biss. If I'm doing my math here correctly, and I believe I am. So this will be one of those things that's picked apart, one of those lessons that both progressive candidacies across this country will have to learn from, and likely a lesson that AIPAC is going to learn going into other races. Even if Cat wins at this point, they will have clearly siphoned away enough votes, or at least Bushra Aliwala will have siphoned away enough votes that perhaps backing other insurgent progressive candidacies to perhaps split the progressive vote could be a tactic going forward. I want to be careful here, not to just take away everything from Bushra Aliwala, because she's running her own campaign, she secured her own endorsements. Who's to say how much of this was AIPAC? But it should be noted that AIPAC backed up a boatload of cash, millions of dollars in this race, right? Not all of that was in support of the other progressive challenger, right? Some of it was in support of Laura Fine, or just attacking some candidates. We're seeing cheers right now in the crowd because they are looking at themselves on the TV right now. Here they're seeing live looks here from the watch party that's being displayed on local news. That's why you're hearing those cheers, not necessarily because there's been any results reported in from this campaign. Right now they're doing a live hit from the Biss campaign, which is looking, I'll just say on the screen, decidedly older and a little more muted than the celebration here behind us. All right. I'm going to take just a 2-minute break here off to the side of the camera. I'm a one-man band, and I've been talking here for the last, probably a little under 2 hours here. So I'm just going to give myself just a couple minutes break, and I'm going to find somebody else in the crowd to talk to. I just need to catch my breath and give my voice just a slight rest, maybe take a swig of water, and then I'll be right back with you folks. Thank you for being with us so far here at Cat Abughazale's watch party in the Illinois 9th Congressional District. I'm doing a one-man live here, so I gotta. Thank you. Who you with? Oh, Nice. Nice to meet you. JT, and with Status Coup News and the Midas Touch Network. Nice to meet you, Catherine. Yeah, I've seen that. Do we know how much is still out? Reporting? Okay. Yeah, all right. All right. Have you talked to anybody from the campaign recently?
Yeah, Romero, but he hasn't wanted to speak tonight yet.
I was just curious if they were like talking about like Cat coming out at all or anything like that. If they're signaling that's going to be soon or anything like that.
They have not, but here it is right here.
Yeah.
Romero said he would give me a heads up like every minute, so I'll let you guys know.
Sweet. Thank you so much. You all may have just overheard some of that here off to the side there. I was just talking to another reporter who has the luxury of not having to be live this entire time, so can have some more like, those conversations with the campaign staff off the record, that kind of stuff, because the campaign staff has not been willing to do interviews as of yet. Otherwise, I would have brought them on here for our campaign, but said that they'll apparently give us some warning when Cat is about to speak, so we should be able to get that heads up. I've been doing some checking over my shoulder because there have been times when the crowd actually quiets down out here and I start to get paranoid, like, oh, should I cut this interview short? Is Cat about to come out? But that has not been the case. So as of yet, and it sounds like they won't just surprise us like that, that we'll have a little bit of notice. So there's no danger in us missing the remarks. I've also gotten a front row seat here for all the cameras. There's some media that's also behind where the camera is currently. And I'm mostly keeping things pretty stationary. I know a lot of times with Status Quo we move around, but I'm a one-man band tonight, so it makes me a little less mobile. It makes being mobile harder. But also staying stationary because I've got a good spot for us right here in the event that Cat speaks, and I don't want to give up that spot by like wandering around the room, and then when I need to come back here to get like Cat speak, like then I'm stuck behind the other cameras and you guys can't see her. So that's why the camera's kind of standing in one spot right now, and I'm bringing the interviews over to us. Now might be a good time for me to also check the YouTube chat and actually interact with some of you. Not something I usually get the chance to, because a lot of the times when we're live, we're like live out dodging tear gas grenades from ICE, and not really safe to be checking chat when that's happening. So I should probably check in here, and now that I actually have this luxury, like check in here with the chat and see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I just saw Broadway Scott D, who gave us $9.99 and says, JT, thank you, Status Quo. Carry on. Truth and empathy. Go, Cat, go. And all progressive Gen Z and millennials. I'm sorry we Gen Xers have failed you. I don't know if you can say failed there. I mean, there's always this next election, right? And hey, maybe you're the candidate, maybe you're the guy who's got to get out there and do the organizing to actually make, some real progressive change happen in this country. I don't know, Scott, what your involvement is like out there, but in any case, thank you for supporting Status Quo so far. We really appreciate it. I see a lot of you comment. All right, I'm sorry, I'm just getting notifications here from our office. Oh, people are cheering right now because Representative Rajna Krishnamurthy has conceded the Senate race here in Illinois. And again, he was probably one of those more conservative Democrats in the race, so that it's likely one of the more progressive, not the most progressive candidate, but one of the more progressive candidates, and who is backed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, who is of course a billionaire and angling for his own presidential run, it seems, in the next couple of years, perhaps, is his lieutenant governor and has his backing. So far, with 90% of the vote in, we're with Daniel Biss at 29.6% of the vote, Cat Abughazale at 25.6%, and Laura Fine at 20.4% of the vote. So again, still just within that 4% margin. It's right at a 4% margin right now between Daniel Biss and Cat Abughazela. So, and that vote total continues to close. And if she picks up more votes, she might bring it within, single digits. I mean, it's already within single digits, but low single digits here. I mean, those things where really anything could have gone differently and maybe changed the outcome of this race. That's if she loses, and we don't know where that last 10% of the vote out is. It's in cat-heavy areas is thought here in the northern parts of Chicago. The neighborhood like where I'm standing right now is in the it's actually in the northern part of Chicago. This is part of where Cat is really expecting to turn out her base of supporters and might be able to eke out a win if that's the case. But it would need to be, pretty lopsided margins in favor of Cat at this point. I'm seeing some people are speculating that CNN has perhaps called it. Oh, yep, I'm seeing people in the chat saying that it's called. Some people citing the New York Times. Before I make that status coup official, let me check. Yes, status. I can say that as of right now, the New York Times has indeed called the race for Daniel Biss, meaning that Daniel Biss is expected to win here in Illinois' 9th Congressional District and defeat Cat Abughazale and Laura Fine. So we'll likely wait for a few more of the networks and outlets to call it here before Cat comes out and speaks to the gathered crowd. I'm going to try and find some people to interview now that we know that the race is being called by at least some folks here. Thank you to chat for flagging it. I had told our team at Status Coup to keep an eye out and let me know as soon as the race was called, but we're a small but mighty team here at Status Coup, but still a small team, so we can only we can't have the same omnipresence that chat does. So thank all of you for keeping an eye on everything that's happening in chat, and I'm going to try and grab some folks to interview here. Oh, and it looks like Cat is coming up right now. I'm going to try and. She's taking some pictures. Looks like there's a huddle here with campaign staff. I'll zoom in for you guys. I may have to physically hold the camera to be able to get a good angle here. No, I don't see her as of right now.
Fuck that hoe, fuck that bitch, just beat that hoe to the condo, say who fuck y'all hoes, they run this shit, machine her black vagina, designer, say Gucci, Prada print, D.O.E. I'm condo bitch, big Gucci, Diva, Donda, Tokyo, Honda.
We're just waiting for Cat to appear here, just judging by where people are gathered right now. I think she might actually be up there near the front of the room. You see the lights. Try and hold the camera here so you'll be able to actually see when she speaks. And this is always the danger of playing this waiting game. Like, should I be trying to interview more people, or should I wait here for Cat to make an appearance? Again, the New York Times has called this race for Daniel Biss, who is the mayor of Evanston, and really tried to position himself ever so slightly to the right of Cat Abughazela to try and be just progressive enough to maybe cannibalize some of her base while also not making himself to be a conservative Democrat, and seemed to navigate that quite adroitly. And then, of course, Cat on the receiving end of the unlimited corporate spending that we have in this country, the legalized bribery that we allow in the United States of America through legislation or through legal doctrine like and legal rulings like Citizens United that allows unlimited dark money to enter our elections. And that certainly came to bear here with AIPAC spending millions upon millions of dollars entered this race. It was really a defining factor of a lot of races here in Illinois, not just the Illinois 9th District like we're here to cover, but also so many other races as well, where there was also a lot of crypto spending that came in and AI spending that came in to influence various races, but millions of AIPAC dollars that came in here in various ways to lift up certain candidates and knock down Kat. But specifically the tactic that we are really paying a lot of attention to as of right now, what we're paying a lot of attention to right now is the way that AIPAC actually came in and lifted up another progressive challenger in this race and siphoned off what seems like it's going to be a winning margin number of votes. We can't say that it's the AIPAC spending necessarily that did it, but what I can say is that AIPAC created an ad for another progressive candidate in this race, and that candidate is set to have enough votes that if those votes had gone to Kat instead, would have proved the difference maker. It's always such a dangerous what-if game to play to just say definitively that all of this money would have necessarily gone to Kat or would have gone to somebody else. But
it's even closing still. That's what I was just saying. It's like, everything counts. It's like, sure, you can say percent of total votes.
All right, I'm being told by our producer, Colin, that he says everyone, he at least singled out AP and CBS, and everyone, as he put it, has called this race as of right now. So if you were hoping for those, that this is just one outlet that might have it wrong and, that it might be flipped back, that is not forthcoming here, it seems. This seems pretty definitive from all of the major networks at this point calling this race in favor of Daniel Biss. So we're gonna push through here, and we're going to hear from Cat Abughazela here in probably any minute. It seemed like we were about to get her, and we even had the lighting set for her to appear on stage, and now the lighting that they had turned on has since gone out, so we will see. We'll see if she's about to make an appearance. I'm going to ask some of the other press out here if they've heard anything. Have we heard if they've given us the warning if she's coming out? No? Okay. But yeah, everybody's calling it at this point. Yeah. Okay. As I was saying earlier, Kat's staff had told press that we would get a little bit of a heads up when Kat was going to come out, and we have not gotten that heads up, so I'm guessing, assuming, what they say about assuming, makes an ass out of you and me, but I want to assume here that Kat is not going to come out immediately, and so I might try to sneak in another interview here with somebody in the crowd while we wait for Kat to make her appearance and actually give her speech out here. Oh, yeah, it seems another journalist tapped me on the shoulder and just let me know that, pointed to the TV and pointed out that Mayor Daniel Biss right now is speaking, and he is projected to win this race. So it's likely that Kat is waiting for him to finish, and then we'll give her own speech. That's usually how these candidates operate. They allow a lot of times it's the concession comes first, and then the apparent victor gives their speech. But perhaps Biss and Kat have worked out something else, a different arrangement. You see how what I'll point out is that the energy in this room is not really changed. This is something that I was commenting on earlier, is just how boisterous, like just how like high the energy in this room was. Like obviously the music continues to play, you don't end the party, but a lot of times at campaign events when your candidate is not doing well, the energy in the room will change dramatically. And that has not happened here. Like everybody came in here kind of, it seemed like, with pretty calibrated expectations, I would guess. And also, I'll note that like I was still hearing you heard the comments from the people in the room here that this was not necessarily an end to the fight for them, that, even though we heard from Blue, who is somebody who knows Kat quite well, said that, that this would likely be it for her, but still he was saying that she should, continue the fight and maybe run again. And you heard that also from some of the campaign volunteers that we interviewed here tonight, that they don't want to see this as the end for Kat politically. We'll see what happens coming out of this. She certainly built a platform for herself. Perhaps Kat could, get back on online or something along those lines, where back into journalism as she was doing before. My issue now with trying to interview folks is that while I was paranoid about losing our spot with the camera, I've now, because I stepped behind the camera, I've lost my space to stand in front of the camera. There's a bunch of people who have now crowded in there waiting for Kat to speak, I'll note that this, according to closed captioning on the TV right now, is addressing the ongoing genocide in Gaza and the suffering of Palestinians, saying that it is that their suffering is a blight upon the world, I believe was the quote. And Kat herself is Palestinian on her father's side, and so that might be, and she never backed away on that issue, never backed down on the salience of that issue, even before the Democratic Party more wholesale started to come around on this issue. And started to acknowledge what was happening in Gaza was a genocide. Kat was doing it well before the broader Democratic establishment took that same position, and may have had an influence here on this race and on the comments that this is making now. But it seems, at least the local news coverage is now cut away from Daniel Biss, so it could be that she is coming out here in relatively short order. I suppose I could interact with some of you in the chat as well. I'm seeing people asking if Kat is going to speak. So far as we're aware, yes, she does plan to address the crowd. We are waiting right now for her to come out. The lights have been returned here, the lighting on the crowd and on the stage, so that's actually coming back here from the TV cameras that I'm gathered up next to. So, and the energy here in the crowd seems to be, all the attention, most of it is at least turned towards that stage, so we're expecting her to come out soon, though we haven't gotten the warning from her campaign staff as of yet. Order in Chaos 85 said the fact that AIPAC spent so much money, Kat should be proud she even came close. You know, that's a point, right, that we were making earlier, that Kat was going up against Daniel Biss, who is the sitting mayor of Evanston. Evanston is a large part of this district of the Illinois 9th, Evanston, Illinois. So the fact that this close in spite of that is a feat in and of itself, and then you add on top of that the millions of dollars of AIPAC money that were poured into this race, and yeah, it is quite the feat that she comes within, low single digits. Once it's all done and counted for, she might come within 2 or 3% here in this race, and that is quite the feat, and it'll leave a lot of probably Monday morning quarterbacking here to ask what could have been different. What's the impact that a Bernie Sanders endorsement could have had? What's the impact that an AOC endorsement could have had on this race? What's the impact that outlawing unlimited dark money contributions in the form of a overturning of Citizens United could have had on this race? What would fewer candidates in this race have had on this race if the vote weren't so splintered? What would ranked choice voting have had on this race if it were implemented here in Illinois? It's of course not. This is a first past the post system, so Daniel Biss can win with 30% of the vote. There will be a lot of what ifs. There will also be the questions of, Kat had a number of controversies associated with her, some of which are absolutely bullshit in my to my judgment, like the way that she was, charged by the Trump administration for protesting outside of the Broadview, Illinois ICE detention facility. In a way that to me seemed like she was being deliberately made a political, nearly like a political prisoner through her prosecution. But certainly the way she conducted herself in those protests will be an open question. Some of her foreign policy positions might become an open question. There'll be a lot of room for Monday morning quarterbacking and, doing some of it now because these are the questions that are going to be asked. And these are the lessons that future progressive campaigns across this country are going to have to ask. And I've seen we're back up to over 1,000 people watching us. If you're tuning in and you're wondering why we're just looking at a banner up there and the backs of a lot of people's heads, it's because we're anticipating Cat Abughazale is actually going to come out here and speak after all of the networks have called her race for Daniel Biss. And if you're just joining us, you're with Status Coup. We are proudly independent progressive media. I ask that you get subscribed to us here on YouTube because we cover a lot of issues and stories that the corporate media covers up, and we would love to have you along for all of our future coverage that we do in the future. And if you're feeling particularly generous or feel that it's particularly important to have progressive media that covers progressive candidates and covers issues like corporate sacrifice zones, that's what we call places where corporations have polluted our environment and left people with cancers and other nasty health effects, or cover the abysmal cost of living in this country, or the way that people cannot afford to sustain themselves and their families, or the lack of universal health care, child care, more robust education, free college in this country, then I would encourage you to go to statuscoup.com/join, where for low as $5 a month, you go to keep us on the ground and doing this important work. Pardon me, ma'am. Sorry, I'm a reporter. Would you mind if I interviewed you about the outcome and how you're feeling right now?
I don't feel fair about the time.
That's all right. You don't have. I can't make it, but thanks. Thought I would just ask you since you're so conveniently close. Hey, man, I'm a reporter. Would either of you mind if I interviewed you about how you're feeling about the outcome here and the message that you feel like Kat's campaign sent to the party?
I'm not sure that I can articulate.
He's saying he's drunk.
And you, sir?
I'd be willing to talk.
Yeah. What's your name, man?
Dan.
Dan, nice to meet you. I'm JT. Let me reposition the camera and we'll talk. Okay, let me put this on. Out a little bit for you. All right, if I can. Here, I'll move my camera backwards. How about that? All right, Dan, I'll try and join you down here so you don't have to look up at me.
Okay.
See if I can get us both in frame here. There we go. All right, I'm standing here with Dan. Dan, what's your connection to the campaign?
I'm a volunteer. I have volunteered in like sign delivery. I've done some graphic design, things like that, untraditional volunteerism.
And I should start with just like big broad overview. Cat Abughazale right now projected to lose to Daniel Biss. What are you feeling in this moment?
It's not unexpected. Like, I think right now we're under 4 points, and I joined the campaign about 11 and a half months ago. You know, she joined almost a year outside of the election. And at that point, we were a long shot. People said she had no chance at all. And the fact that we're coming down to the point that we're within 4 points, like, I think is incredible. I think we've sent a message. Also, I don't think Daniel Biss would be where he's at with certain issues if Kat had not entered the race. His history has been a lot more conservative on issues that are very prevalent right now, especially regarding Israel. And he's gone to the point that AIPAC has attacked him. And I don't think that would have happened without Kat being in this race, pushing it to the left. Also, I volunteered a lot within the mutual aid hub. We've fed, clothed thousands of people. The effort that I put into this race, I think every ounce of it has come back like 10 times over, both in terms of indicating where we are as a district in terms of the, you want to call it the Overton window, and then also just in terms of helping people in raw numbers. Like, I don't have any regrets, and the fact that we're coming within 4 points, yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have won this race, but we were like a 1 in a million chance that brought it down to 4 points. Like,
you said, despite that 4 point gap, you said that this campaign sent a message. What is that message?
The message is, I think overall, big money, we want it out of our politics. You saw the ads come out from Laura Fine and from her dark money donors, and her favorability was high. As soon as the reporting came out saying where that money was coming from, she
ultimately originating from AIPAC.
Yes, she dropped 20 points in favorability in the polls. We want money out of our politics. And you look at the Senate race, Raja had tens of millions of dollars coming into this race, and people saw where that money was coming from, and they said no. And he had to concede right here on election night.
Talking about Raja Krishnamurthy, who's running for Senate here in Illinois to replace Dick Durbin.
Yes, and he had to concede, and I think you are seeing across the board the fact AIPAC knows they are so toxic that they put money behind one of Kat's opponents to try to draw money away from Kat. They know they are so toxic that they can put money people money for people and draw votes away because people will respond to how toxic that money is.
So you say it sent a message. What's the lesson that other progressive challengers because there's going to be a lot more primaries that play out across the country here with progressive candidates. We're hearing a lot about that this is the left Tea Party moment. What are the lessons that you would tell other campaigns to take away from what Kat saw here in Illinois 9?
I don't know that I can speak to what the progressives need to look for, but I think that the establishment candidates that think that they can just take money hand over fist from big corporations, defense contractors, from foreign lobbies, and just buy an election, I think that this has been proven to be a failing strategy, because you saw AIPAC spending money against Daniel Biss, and then in the last moment, spending money to prop him up.
Spending money to prop him up. I mean, I was talking just a minute ago to our audience about, all of the way, there are so many different factors that I feel like you could blame, how this race turned out. But it's this close, it could be anything, right? There's a lot of different things you can point your finger at. But you're saying it's the dark money. That's the number one. Are there anything else that you're looking at that you're like, this could also be a contributing factor?
I don't know that there are any large takeaways that I take away from this other than that. I think the message that we've sent is very clear. You've seen how handily Laura Fine was defeated. You've seen Raja have to drop out. People are going to look at our race and see Bushra and Mike Simmons and stuff like that, but you look at the vote split, I don't think that would have made up the difference. The hand over fist difference is the dark money candidates have gone from being in first and second place to being plunged down.
So, some of the other things that I was talking about were Bernie and AOC didn't endorse in this race. Should they have?
I think if more of those progressive leaders would have endorsed and would have endorsed sooner. So, let's say you have poll greeters with a sheet out saying, hey, I have all the squad in Bernie. I think that would change some minds. But if they endorsed the day before the race, would that have changed the difference? I can't speak to that. But I think there needs to be a more organized progressive movement towards backing candidates that not only are going to hold progressive values, but also hold a chance of winning. And again, I don't want to say hey, there were spoiler candidates in the race, because I don't think that if, let's say we were to go to a runoff or we were to go to a ranked choice, based on the numbers I'm seeing now, I don't think that would have changed the outcome. But I think if there was a coordinated progressive movement within this country, and we've seen things like failure to endorse through progressive movements, where if an endorsement was given early to motivate a base to not just show up and phone bank and knock doors and things like that for the weeks running up to the election, not just the days before the election, I think we easily could have closed a 4-point gap. That is so small in the congressional race like this. It can even just be the difference of turnout versus even, hey, we're going to change minds of other voters. We could just activate voters to show up who otherwise wouldn't show up.
You say if there was this coordinated progressive movement, who should lead it?
I think that in the early days of Trump 2.0, we saw a very strong progressive movement with Bernie and AOC and the Fight Oligarchy tour that seemed like it was almost a handoff. They were going around the districts across the country, bringing up local progressives, and saying, hey, here's the next generation. And it seemed like that was kind of a handoff. And then in the past 6 months running up to the primaries, it kind of fizzled out and disappeared. I don't know what happened with that. So if Bernie and AOC wanted to be those leaders, I think they had the momentum to do it and kind of dropped the ball. So I'm just wondering who is going to pick it up. And, you know, one of the things Kat said was, hey, we're in a safe blue district. If we won the primary, we win the election, we're going to spend the next, I forget how many months it is, 6 months, 9 months, going around the country fighting for other progressives and getting them elected. Using this could have been the bellwether moment. In the absence of that, like Kat, I think she can continue to use her platform. Is she going to be the leader in that? I don't know. That's up to Kat. What does she want to do after today? But I think Bernie and AOC with the fight oligarchy, they had the momentum to turn that into, hey, this is the progressive movement, and it kind of fizzled. It once it came to the primary. So I think it's you know, I've been very impressed with what I've seen. I think we still even hear Jamal Bowman coming around to Illinois and going from district to district. Who are the real progressives? Who can we fight for? And doing on-the-ground movement to move the needles in these races.
Thank you so much, man. Is there anything else you want to add while you got the platform?
No.
Appreciate the time. Thank you. Steal that back?
Yep.
Cut you loose. Thank you for letting me surprise you like that.
Yep.
Again, we're still waiting for Kat to come out and speak at this point. I saw some of the press, some of the other TV cameras that are right next to me change out batteries on their camera, which is usually a telltale sign that, you know, there might be some movement about to happen here, some speech that might be about to be made. We can't guarantee that, so I kind of got to vamp and fill time until we actually get to that moment. I'll haul myself back up here on our media platform that we have. So back out here over the crowd, back up towards the makeshift stage at the front of the room where Kat is supposed to speak. Right now, on the TV here in the room, we're watching Juliana Stratton, Lieutenant Governor for the state of Illinois, who is projected to be the next senator, beating Rajna Krishnamurthy. And she'll be taking over Dick Durbin's spot. What was it? Just talking to other press again about when we can expect to see Kat, and apparently we're hearing quite soon that we're going to get a 2-minute warning from the stage here momentarily. A 2-minute warning is supposed to be 2 minutes before Kat comes out to speak. So we're waiting for that warning first before we actually before I can actually say she's definitely coming up here to speak. seeing people asking questions about the race in the chat, and I'm seeing people asking if Kat won. No, Kat lost to Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss, or at least she is projected to lose as of this time, but it looks like it's going to be a very close race. Seeing people asking if votes are still being counted. They are indeed still being counted. At least last I checked, we were not at 100% reporting. I will go to check again, and yes, indeed, Kat has closed a little bit more here in this race, bringing it now just at 3.8%, 3.8% behind Daniel Biss, a little over 4,000 votes separating them, with 93% of the vote counted. But every major network at this point has called the race for Daniel Biss. We are waiting for Kat to come out and address this room full of supporters, but again, people are still remaining in good spirits. I've been hearing and seeing laughter and smiles and folks in the crowd. We just got the 2-minute warning, so we're expecting Kat here in just 2 minutes. Thank you. I'm going to get the camera in position here, and again, I'll probably have to go handheld and with the camera above my head to be able to show you Kat when she takes the stage over all of these people. Because where my camera is right now is as high as the tripod will go. So again, just 2 minutes here, and then Kat will be taking the stage to speak. Middle fingers going up there from the crowd up towards the left-hand side of the screen. That's because Mayor Daniel Biss is on the screen right now doing an interview. Put the podium up on the stage now where Kat will be speaking.
One, two.
We love you, Cat! Woo!
I don't know if you heard, but we didn't win, and it really fucking sucks. We came really close, and it sucks, but it's something that no one in power even expected would be possible at all. I need to stress to every single person in this room that this does not mean that the last year has been for nothing. Tens of thousands of people powered this campaign, knocking doors, making calls, donating what they could. We fed and clothed thousands of people across the 9th District. We forced our opponents to the left and to be more aggressive against this administration. We did all of this together from the ground up with everything against us. We had millions in AIPAC spending, dark money smear campaigns, institutional power, tipping the scales, and we made them use their entire arsenal, shit we've never even seen before, just to beat us. And that's just for now. We showed that politics can be more than backroom deals and reliance on the ultra-rich. It can be helping others, it can be a community, it can be a team sport. We were able to change the conversation in this district and nationwide. We have done so much that has never been seen before in American politics, and we have set a new standard for what people should expect from those trying to represent them. I am so incredibly proud of what we built together, and deeply grateful to every single person who believed in this campaign, especially my staff. I'm not going to go further than that because I will cry, because I love every single one of them so much. Shout out to our staff, please. You want to turn around and I'm so astounded by how many of you that are with us have never been involved with the campaign, or maybe never even voted. That's incredible. Whether you came here because you donated a jacket to our mutual aid hub, or because you saw us on a live stream, or because one of our volunteers wouldn't stop calling you. Thank you for being involved. And the work isn't over. There are progressives all over the country who are taking a chance just like we did, and we have to help them win. No matter how hard it is, we have to send a message to this administration, anyone who enables it, and I'm talking directly to them right now. You and your jobs are not safe. This is the start and not the end. We are not tolerating the status quo. You cannot kidnap and kill us and our neighbors. You cannot start illegal wars. You cannot trample on our rights and see our lives as a means for profit. We will continue to come back, and every single loss like this one just makes the path easier for the next person who takes the same chance. We are not done, and I am not going anywhere. When I said I would spend every single waking moment of the rest of my life to hold this administration accountable, win or lose, I fucking meant it. And I know all of you do too. So thank you for supporting us. I'm sorry that this sucks, but fuck Trump, fuck ICE, free Palestine, and I love you all.
I thought it mattered. I thought that music mattered. But does it bollocks? Not compared to how people matter. I get knocked down.
And hopefully you all can still hear me now over this very loud music that is playing over here that is almost certainly going to get us a copyright strike on our stream here. But there you just heard from Kat that, you know, this is not the end for her, not making allusions to another candidacy, but rather to plans to continue to fight the Trump administration. There's tears among people here in the crowd, plenty of hugs being given, but also still that edge of celebration here. I would say right here that I would be trying to do another interview or more interviews here as people are filing out. But right now the music is just so loud, I'm not sure if I'll be able to. I'll give it a try. Pardon me, folks. Pardon me, guys. I'm a reporter. I'm a reporter. Would you guys mind if I interviewed you about how you're feeling about the race?
Not right now, but like, yeah, outside, sure.
Outside?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear you. Yeah, all right.
But, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it sounds like, at least from that group that I've talked to, the music is so loud that it's actually making hearing each other difficult. I'm hearing some people might be willing to talk from the outside, so debating moving the party outside. We'll see if the music maybe calms down now that that song is coming to an end here.
I'm getting a truck, you know? February, so like it's not. Chicago bordering Chicago.
Yeah, I'm Chicago. I'm from Beverly, so Chicago bordering. Fucking what? Evergreen Park. Southwest.
A lot of what's left here in the crowd is people that I've either already interviewed or asked and they've turned me down. So that's why if you see me hovering here, just kind of awkwardly looking around, I'm looking for somebody who I haven't talked to already. And there's this gentleman who's right in front of me who has indicated that he is willing to talk to me, but he seems to be engrossed in conversation right now.
Yeah. All the costs right?
Something is doing it.
Chocolate bar. Okay, this is right now.
Okay, that's right.
Pardon me, folks. I'm a reporter. Would you mind if I interviewed you guys about how you're feeling right now? Yeah, if I could get one volunteer, please. You do it. What's your name?
Mia.
Mia. Nice to meet you.
Orlando, nice to meet you.
JT.
JT, got it.
Come over here for me. All right. Mia, I'll have you clip this on if you don't mind. There we go.
Okay, cool.
And then, yeah, we'll just kind of, this is my camera here, so we'll cheat towards that a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So, Mia, if I could have you start, just spell your name for me.
Yes, Mia, M-I-A-Orlando.
How do you pronounce that?
Mia Orlando.
All right. Sorry, I can't hear all the letters,
No,
otherwise
okay.
I would have known it's
You're
Orlando,
okay.
probably.
Okay.
All right, so Mia, just tell me on its face, how are you feeling in this moment?
I am feeling a mix of emotions. Mostly hope and pride for what we have shown everybody is possible.
And what is it that's possible coming out of tonight?
Doing things differently, not having to do things the same way that previous campaigns and previous establishment Democrats have done things. That we do not need to shy away from pushing the party left. The people want this, and we are ready to continue doing it.
What's your role? What was your role within the campaign?
I am just a volunteer.
Just a volunteer?
I am just a volunteer who, well, we did a co-stream. I work, like, my channel, it's not mine, my best friend's channel that I work on. We did a co-stream with Kat, and he has admired her work for a long time. Also research journalist. And we're seeing a call to truth in a way that is, how do I put it? We're seeing a call to truth in the way that we will not take a speech or a sentiment or a statement that is not followed with action. We need to tell establishment Democrats that it is not okay to take a middle stance. If you are going to represent the left of this country, you need to represent the left of this country.
And that means standing for what?
That means standing for no families separated and kidnapped. Honestly, just abolish ICE. We don't need it. I almost swore.
You can.
Okay, we don't fucking need ICE. We need term limits. I'm gonna think of a couple other things. We want a minimum wage that is actually livable. Almost everyone in this room, the entire staff, the oldest person is like 31. We can't afford a home. Some of us like still didn't have health insurance, don't have health insurance.
I mean, you're talking about basic building blocks things like a higher salary in terms of minimum wage, lifting the wage floor. You're talking about being able to have a home. Like, these are truly basic building block things.
Simply being able to build a life. I mean...
And do you feel like the Democratic Party, as it's currently built, is fighting for that right now?
No! Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, good animated.
No, not at all. I think that the way that the Democratic Party, as it stands, is pandering to working with people that are Nazis, white supremacists, misogynists,
who believe truly in a master race. It is sickening. We do not want to work with these people. They need to go.
And by the way, it should not be creeping fascism, and I apologize, Mia. I've got you like halfway out of frame. I am just realizing that it's my fault.
It's fine.
But it also should not take the, the Democratic Party should not have to face the prospect of fascism in this country to have to push for these basic building block things that you're rooting out for. I just want to call that out as like a bullshit thing that you feel like you have to justify, even beyond the fact that I need a place to sleep, I need the ability to sustain myself, and you need to fight fascism as an excuse to give that to me, right?
Yes, and it is not a radical ask to say you need to take care of the people that live in the country that you govern. We have taken the fear of people doing us dirty so far that we punish people that mean well and are loving in their hearts. It is, and I'm sorry, I want to say too that like I am super emotional at this moment, and so my eloquence is not perfect. I am sorry, but yeah.
As I'll say that not everybody in this room
not
is.
everybody is, but I am, which is kind of why I was like, I'll do it. I think that something that brought me towards Kat was the fact that she also is taking an anti-generative AI stance. And I think we are creeping towards a version of reality that no one has a true say in building. AI has been introduced into the governmental floors. We're approaching a world in which people are not able to think for themselves in a really terrifying way.
The Pentagon is implementing AI and how it chooses targets and who to kill, and it seems like maybe that strike on a girls' school in Iran was maybe partially at least informed by AI. But and you're saying like nobody has input over like how these things are governed, aside from like the few billionaires who actually own the models themselves.
Yes, and to say that we are anything other than an oligarchy at this point would be, in my opinion, incorrect. I don't think that we have, democracy in this country, we are the great experiment. The experiment is maybe not working, so let's try something else. Maybe we need to take a couple.
What parts of the American experiment do you think are failing right now?
I think that we have let the capitalist monster go a little too far, to the point where we are given the illusion of free market, but it does not exist in a true sense. The reason that our drugs are so expensive is because of patents. There is inaccessibility across the board.
And do you feel like Kat's candidacy at all will push Daniel Biss to address any of these issues that you've laid out?
He better. I will say to Daniel Biss, and I've met him a couple times, and I just want to say that I don't appreciate his hands in his pockets. I'm gonna echo Kat and say, put yourself on the line. Put yourself on the line before people get tired of watching you do nothing. If you want all of us to rally behind you, look at the vote. 26 to 30. Right now, as of whatever time it is. If you want us behind you and to stop doing what we're doing over here, you better get with it.
Or maybe next time he's not the one with 30% of the vote.
Period.
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah.
So I want to also address the outside spending in this race, the massive amounts of especially AIPAC dollars that were backed up in a dump truck to this district. How much does that play into the outcome tonight? How direct do you feel like the impact of that was felt here in the district?
I honestly don't know. I think that I'll speak from my personal perception, which is maybe not true. I don't know. But my emotional experience, my lived experience of being a very small part of this campaign is that the left has not figured out how to mobilize with imperfection.
Explain that.
we have a tendency to, we're stubborn. I don't know how else to say it. We're stubborn, and I think that it's a real strength when we need it, and a real weakness when we don't. I think that there are, I mean, obviously it was very exciting, the first opening since 1999, like that's a huge race, a lot of people were in it. I think that if we had been able to reach a consensus about mobilization as a group earlier on, it would have been helpful. And I think that in this case, and it's kind of a tale as old as time, I don't want to say it's just because of a split vote, but like, at this moment, my heart is scared that that's why.
Meaning that another progressive in this race may have siphoned off enough votes to make up the difference?
Maybe, but...
I mean, I will say, and I've been noting it on our broadcast all night, that has been the case mathematically, that at least had oh my God, her name is escaping me all of a sudden.
Bushra Aniwala?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
If her vote totals were just given to Kat, recognizing that it does not work that way, that it would not have necessarily been a 100% transfer, maybe some of those voters stay home, maybe some go to Daniel Biss, right? And voters are not always rational in the way that they assign their votes, so maybe even some go to Laura Fine, right? But if all those votes were Kat's votes, that's the difference in the race, at least mathematically at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, I do know that, like, how do I want to put it? Give me a moment, sorry. Did I lose my train of thought? Maybe.
You may have.
I may have.
I mean, you were just, I mean, maybe we kind of reached the end of your train of thought. There might be the reason, because you were just saying that, like, things that...
The AIPAC money.
Yes.
I do think that what I was hearing as a poll greeter and a canvasser, and, you know, I was hearing a lot of the things that were said in the AIPAC ads, either in favor of candidates or against Kat. I was hearing a lot of those phrases echoed back to me and parroted back to me. And when you look at how much money was spent, including the dark money, with the influencers being paid to make comments, I think that they played dirty. And it's really disappointing. But I want to focus on the fact that even though they did all of that, it was neck and neck. And we are hopeful still. And we're not going anywhere. Like, when Kat said, like, I'm not going anywhere, I think she speaks for all of us too. Like, this has shown a new generation of people that they can do this. We can do this together, and we can mobilize without any super PACs.
If there's ranked choice voting in Illinois, does Kat win tonight?
I don't know. I mean, I hope so. Explain ranked choice voting to me.
Meaning that the you know, if no candidate failed, if no candidate gets 51 or 50% plus one votes, then the lowest vote getting candidate is eliminated, and their votes are redistributed to the second choice candidates, and then that continues until somebody gets at least over 50% of the vote. So
I would love that. That sounds like maybe. I mean, I think that the lowest rank, there's so many people in this race, it's so hard to know, but that would be possible. That would be possible.
What are some reforms, and what are some reforms? You talked about, like, people playing dirty in this race.
Yeah.
Coming out of this right now, like, are there reforms that you would want to see to our electoral system to try and make it so that people's voices are actually heard in elections like these?
Yeah.
So that it's not a candidate with just 30% of the vote, you know, being ushered in, or that some of these tactics that you've seen play out aren't allowed.
Yeah, I've heard a few people say, like, they wish there were more interim votes, like more than just the primary. That there was even, like, a quarterly vote, like, to maybe for a situation that's like this, where we have so many candidates and the vote is so spread, to have, like, okay, we're having a quarterly one instead of the primary. Like, we're making sure that we are doing it in smaller increments as well.
More direct democracy is what it sounds like. More opportunities to vote.
You know what? Yeah. Also, make every voting day, you have to legally allow people to go vote. There are people
Meaning
at work.
like a national holiday kind of?
Yeah, well, yes. Exactly. Also, just like the no insider trading, no stocks, the don't get rich. I know that was just brought to the floor, so that sounds pretty good too. It's starting to feel like we are just controlled by Israel in all ways. So, yeah.
Amy, anything else you would want to add while you have the platform? Oh, and I'm sorry, it's Mia, not Amy. Why did I say Amy?
Oh, I don't know, Mia, whatever. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know my name right now. I want to say, don't fuck with journalists. Stop killing people in concentration camps. Stop kidnapping people. Let people buy a home and have a life and be able to take care of their body. And we're not going anywhere. And I want to say thank you to Kat and to the campaign and all of her staff. I know that this experience has changed my life for the better. And I'm really excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I will take that microphone back and I will let you go.
Thank you. I'm nervous, but that was good.
Yeah, you did great.
Thanks.
You did great. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you. Where can I
Yep, I was actually unbuttoning my coat so I could show you my press badge.
A card.
Yeah, I left my cards at home, unfortunately, but I have my press badge if you want to take a picture of it. That's our outlet. Saskowski News.
Amazing. I'm a research journalist for Shuffle. It's a YouTube channel. So I do research. But yeah.
My email's not on here, but it's my name at statuscoup.com. If you want to send me your channel, I would very much appreciate that. I'd love to check it out.
Thank you again.
All right. Okay, everybody. I think we're going to draw things to a close here because I still have a drive back to Wisconsin tonight. But that's the kind of dedication that we show here at Status Coup. I am not afraid to do that. In fact, I relish doing this kind of thing. This was a fun night here tonight. I want to thank all of you for being with us here so far. I'm just taking one more scroll through the chats here to Ian Weniger, who said, "Stop flirting on camera, JT, LOLs. I'm not flirting. I am happily married with a child at home as well. No flirting." Anna, if you're watching this, I'm not flirting. Don't listen to the chat. And I need to get home to my wife and kid right now. So that's why I'm starting to draw things to a close here. So I'm going to go in and check really quick here. Anything else that I should say while we're here? But I should probably make one more plug for us here at Status Coup. The ability for us to be here on the ground, to show you the inside of places like this, the inside of progressive candidacies like this across the country. Again, we're working on plans to bring you more of these. All of this stuff, our on-the-ground reporting that we do. I'm planning another on-the-ground trip. Right now, right before I drove down here, I was on the phone with my boss, planning out another on-the-ground trip for us. This is not the first time I've been on the ground here in Chicago. I've been on the ground here many times, including for 2 months. We were on the ground here continuously in Chicago during Operation Midway Blitz, the immigration crackdown here. We were on the ground for nearly 2 months in Minneapolis during the immigration crackdown there. That's when so many of you in our audience found us and joined us here at Status Coup. Big shout out to you for joining us and for following along with us over the last several months and weeks. I really appreciate all of the time that you have been able to give us here at Status Coup. Thank you so much. If you want to become a part of our team and help support us as we do more on-the-ground reporting like this, the best way that you can support us is to go to statuscoup.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go to keep us totally editorially independent. I'm not up here right now hawking, doing commercials for soap, doing commercials for toothpaste, doing commercials for Lockheed Martin, like you might see in some other outlets. I don't have to, because I have you, our viewers. It's the only person I'm beholden to. It's the only person I ever want to be beholden to as a journalist. It keeps what I say my own. You know what I'm saying is truly my opinion. and not influenced by any partisan or corporate interests. So statuscoup.com/join. There is not a lot of independent media in this country. We want to continue to be it. I think we're going to be slowly kicked out of this space as it continues to thin out behind me. So on behalf of myself, our entire team at Status Coup, I want to say thank you. I also want to thank our moderators in the chat. I had the pleasure of meeting some of you on Thursday on our members call. By the way, if you're a member, you can join members calls and get behind the scenes stories from us here at Status Coup. And I just want to say that I recognize all the great work you guys do. I'm going to try and get a list of your names so I can read them out on stream as well. But thank you for all of the thankless work that you are doing as our moderators. I will try to rectify that by thanking you from here on out. But on behalf of myself and our whole team at Status Coup, thank you. Good night and stay safe.